PlayStation Drive is starting. While you wait, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon on YouTube to be notified of future goodness. If you enjoy our show, we'd love it if you gave us a 5-star review or rating on your podcast service of choice. To continue the conversation, join the Carpool Gaming Discord, where you can find a wholesome community to have a chit-chat with. For some exclusive content, you can also support us on Patreon. And finally, don't forget to check out the Carpool Gaming website for an awesome range of merch. Links to all that and more are in the show notes, but without further ado, let's get revved up for the PlayStation Drive. Whoa!
What's up, everybody? Welcome on in. This is the PlayStation Drive, episode 152. This is basically our second episode this week, y'all. Of course, I'm one of your hosts, Ryan, and I'm joined, as always, by Fulia, Rod, and Matt. How are y'all doing on this fine Saturday evening?
No, Saturday. You said it right the first time.
Also, Sunday afternoon.
Oh, fair enough. You mean Sunday afternoon?
Oh, God.
Oh,
No Sundays.
We do not do that here.
But Lockcliff, I don't know if you missed this, the memo from the chat when we did our State of Play reactions. Lockcliff confirmed we do this here. So
I won't do this here. You guys can.
Excellent.
You'll just ignore it every time we say it.
Exactly.
Yep. You know, things are, it's a wonderful Saturday. The weather is nice outside. The Edmonton Oilers are 1 win away from the Stanley Cup Finals. It's a whole thing. Wow. Despite the fact that I don't want Edmonton to actually win, I kind of want the Dallas Stars to win. But whatever.
Does Sean know this? Does Sean know this?
Of course. Well, he knows that I'm a Calgary Flames fan, and the Calgary Flames and the Edmonton Oilers are like bitter rivals. So it's one of those things where it's nice to see a Canadian team may make the finals of the Stanley Cup playoffs, but God, people in Calgary do not want Edmonton to be that team at all.
But it's looking pretty close to it.
It's like whenever the Mets fans are looking over at the Yankees winning all these championships, they just no, just anyone but the Yankees, please.
Yeah, that is fair.
Yeah. Of course, I had to bring hockey into it a little bit because it's playoff season. But anyways, this is the PlayStation Drive. We talk about PlayStation all the time and not sports ball. So let's do a little bit of a housekeeping. So first off, we have new patrons over at patreon.com/carpoolgaming, or I should say a returning patron that is upgraded to the platinum tier. Toxic is now a platinum producer, aka the official tier of the PlayStation Drive, getting that platinum trophy. So shout out to Toxic for upgrading to become a platinum producer. Of course, if you are unaware, patreon.com/carpoolgaming is the home of all the Carpool Gaming content, including some exclusive content that's exclusive over at patreon.com/carpoolgaming. So head on over there if you're interested. We have a 7-day free trial of the exclusive tier if you want to check out what's exclusive over there. And other than that, we've got some cool stuff over there, like the Patreon podcast for patrons podcast, or Ron, the real podcast starring you that came out this week.
His royal bareness.
Oh my God.
It was so
Such
good.
a good episode.
Yes.
Such a good episode.
No, whatever. Next topic.
Not whatever.
Let's
Stop
rush
it.
over
Don't
you
rush
for a
this.
little bit.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a great
don't rush
episode.
over this.
Let's move on. Thank you.
It's a good episode.
No.
I know what you're so ashamed
No.
of.
It's a really
Fantastic
good
episode, Ron.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Don't rush over it. Don't do that. Don't do that. Everybody needs to listen to it. Yeah, you're gonna get your signature Ron humor, but you're gonna get way more. You're gonna get hit in the feels, and it's a beautiful episode. Everybody needs to listen to it. So good. So good.
Yeah. You and Sean had a great conversation. So make sure to go check it out over there. Patreon.com/carpoolgaming. Hoppel asked the question, next week's topic, sport ball games on PlayStation. I mean, we kind of already talked about that with Anna Kournikova tennis. So I don't know how much more sports ball we need to cover over here. Unless we want to talk about the beauty that was NHL hits back in the day, of course. Or,
I
NFL
forgot
Blitz.
about that.
I mean,
about that.
Yeah. NFL Blitz also. Great game. NBA Jam.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great
NFL
game.
Street was great. I enjoyed that.
Dude. NFL and NBA Street. Oh my God. They're both
the Street Series was good stuff.
Oh man. See, we kind of already touched it right there, Hoppel. So there you go.
It happened.
Yep.
Also, other piece of housekeeping real quick. Summer Game Fest is happening next Friday or Friday. And we are all very excited here at Carpool Gaming. In fact, this is the last PlayStation Drive before Summer Game Fest, before the big presentation. So we, of course, will be going all out, as we always do here at Carpool Gaming, with live reactions to all the Summer Game Fest events. I have actually specifically taken off that entire week/weekend to make sure to be there. So I will be live reacting to just about everything with everyone else here at the Carpool Gaming crew that is able to make it to the events they can make it to. So look forward to that. Of course, Summer Game Fest starting on Friday, of course, with the big Jeff Keighley showcase. And then we're going to go all weekend. So all the details about that, we'll have a big post about this on Monday on Twitter and the Discord as to, where you can see all the content. It'll all be overall usually on our Twitch, though, twitch.tv/carpoolgaming live. But if you're unable to make it to our live reactions, similar to what we did with the PlayStation State of Play, we will be doing a ton of post shows all this weekend as well, coming up. So including Summer Game Fest, but also like the Ubisoft Forward, the Xbox Showcase. If there is a Nintendo Direct that happens this week, we'll be covering that, as well as all the other stuff in between. There's I don't know if you saw the list, guys, but there's 13 different showcases.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
So much.
Yeah. And there's still some to be announced yet, because Limited Run always usually does one, and they haven't announced theirs. Capcom and Square Enix usually do one, and they haven't announced theirs yet. Konami usually does one, they haven't announced theirs yet. So there could be a whole bunch more even on top of the list we have now, which is crazy. So looking forward to that this week. Well, without further ado, let's grab our 8 tracks, pop them in, because it's time for the playlist. Time to talk about the games we played this week. Starting, as always, with his Royal Baroness himself, Ron. What'd you play this week, Ron?
Thank you, friends. Still on Sea of Stars. I'm about 21 hours in on that. Still enjoying it. The soundtrack is just kind of okay. All the good stuff was saved in the beginning. But it's still good. It's still good. It is definitely not Chrono Trigger. I can say that for sure. But it's still in that 4 out of 5 range for now. Some stuff happened in the story that was predictable and you kind of saw it coming, but it's still enjoyable. So we'll see how it goes and continue to hopefully stay steady or climb up. Hopefully it won't go down. Yeah, yes, Meadow.
Question, friend. So at this point, how many cheeks are we giving it?
0. 0 cheeks.
Not cheeks.
Nah, it's not cheeks.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's not cheeks.
I was going to say, he said in his whole diatribe, 4 out of 5 experience.
Yeah.
Just checking. You can split cheeks, different types of cheeks. I'm just curious. Just asking.
That's true.
Matt,
A game is going to have to be a 2.5 or below that for it to be cheeks, man. There's only
that
two
how
things.
the cheek scale works?
Cheeks or not cheeks. No.
I've been trying to nail down the cheek scale. We talked about this on previous episodes, and you're just like, there is no scale.
Stop trying to figure it out. Stop trying to figure it out. It's just cheeks or not cheeks, and that's it.
But you just started to explain the science right there.
I was trying to help Matt get him off my back.
No. It seems like there's a conversion of numbers to the amount of cheeks.
That's what I mean.
That's what it seems like, yeah.
That's what it seems
There's
like.
a format.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. If a game is bad, it's cheeks. That's it.
Okay.
Koala,
So
help.
0 cheeks
Help Koala.
for now.
I'm trying. He's not stopping.
I mean, Hoppel asked an important question. Is there a positive cheek? If it's a very good game, -3 cheeks? How does that work?
The only positive cheek is not cheeks. That's it.
Now I'm getting confused.
Yeah. I don't even know what to think anymore.
How are you
Get all
confused,
confused
Matt?
now.
Not cheeks is
There's
positive.
no-
Cheeks is negative. What's the problem?
So
Peach or no peach? That's it.
There you go.
Not-
Exactly.
not
Thank
cheeks
you, Mike.
is
Cheeks or
not
not cheeks.
cheeks. Okay.
That's it.
okay.
Okay. Fair enough. So Sea of Stars, you're
Continue.
liking it. You're
Sea of
enjoying it.
Stars.
Yeah. It's still really enjoyable. It's still good for now.
That's good. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Matt, how about you? What'd you play?
Before I talk about surprise, not surprise, me playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I just wanted to mention that a few weeks ago I was not on the show because I was in Rochester, New York, and I got to meet up with Skinny Matt from the Backlog-busters. And I've said it before on different podcasts. It's always a special thing when you meet internet friends for the first time. Meeting Fulia, meeting Ryan for the first time was a special thing, and same thing with meeting Skinny Matt up in Rochester, New York. Like I didn't know how big the area was until he told me it was like 20-30 minutes to get to the bar by my hotel. So he's a very sweet guy. So it was a special moment, and it's just something magical about meeting internet friends, truly. So if you're not coming to Extra Life, please consider it in 2024 November because a lot of us are going to be there and it's going to be a very, very special moment. No pressure. I know everybody has different circumstances, but it's definitely a special thing. And I'm looking forward to seeing people and hugging people all over again. Anyways, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'm continuing. I'm at Nibelheim in Chapter 11. I've done most of the side stuff. And in this region, the Chocobos, correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, they shoot water out of their bums and they kind of fly, correct?
After what happened with the Chocobos in the previous 2 regions, I never got the Chocobos here.
I'm sorry.
I never even bothered.
You just ran? You just walked?
I just went to the story part because when you do this story in that area, I don't know if you started it, it basically just goes in a straight line and you hardly ever go back to town. Yeah.
That is hilarious. No, I did some side stuff because I was like, because it was very accessible. So the Chocobos in this region, I don't know, they're either shooting water out of their bums or they're pulling water out of their, I don't know. Whatever it is, water's coming out and they are gliding everywhere. And this type of Chocobo, surprisingly, makes it more accessible to get everywhere versus a Chocobo that can fly.
Right.
And the Chocobos on the mushrooms. Like I'm getting to every single side thing very easily. So I've done most of it. And then I'm about to, I guess, lock myself into the main stuff. So making good progress. Almost at 100 hours. It's getting there, but still enjoying it quite a bit. Fully, you seem confused. It's not I don't know. They're just water for some reason. This Chocobo, you have to be over water, and then when you do the move, water seems to come either below them, something like that, and then they go up in the air, and then you get to go everywhere you want. Don't ask me why. Don't.
Just, that description. That description.
Oh, wow.
Great description. You know?
Yeah.
Square Enix, baby. I don't know what to tell everybody.
Look, Japanese games are weird. Okay, we all knew this.
Yeah. Indeed.
Yeah. But
wow.
yeah, as you probably noticed while doing the side stuff, Matt, like that, I like going back to what I talked about with you last week. Like that's the shortest story with the side quest stuff because there's like way less actual markers out there in the Nibelheim area to do.
I'm good. Because I'm not in a rush to get the platinum. I know it's going to be 200 hours, but I am getting very anxious and impatient to see where the story goes because I'm so close, and a lot of big things have been happening, and I'm like, I just want to see where the story goes because so it's been quite a few months. It hasn't been spoiled yet. Like I actually don't know where things are going, so I do kind of want to at least roll credits. So getting anxious, but we're getting there.
Well, I was gonna say, like once you start the Nibelheim story stuff, like that's it. Like you know, you're basically on the road to the end of the game at that point. So you're getting there. So soon. I'm excited to talk to you about it again. Like I think like the three of us, you, me, and Ron, maybe should sit down and do like a talk about this when you're done.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Do some spoiler.
Yes,
talk.
please.
I'm excited.
100%.
I'm even more excited to hear what Fulia played this week. So Fulia, tell us all about it.
I've played a few games this week. So I'll just start off with continuing my playthrough of Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. Finally made it into Chapter 2.
Nice.
I've met Flurry. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say.
I don't know. I don't know if any of us actually get the references because like I don't actually know if any of us have actually played Thousand Year Door.
I have
Played it. It's been a while though.
She's a very curvy ghosty. I'll just put it that way.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I remember.
Fair enough.
respectfully curvy. Respectfully.
Yeah. Anyway.
Question, Fulia.
Yes.
I have a question. What do you think of the combat, the world, the dialogue? Because, you know, I did catch up on the Nintendo Drive, and I believe I heard a lot of hot takes from the one and only Seth Sergel about his opinion.
Yes.
A Thousand Year Door. I know he likes it, but he had a lot of hot takes. So I'm curious, what did you think of the dialogue? Is it too much? The world design? Because he wasn't a fan of those aspects, even though he does like the game. But I was taken aback. I really was when I heard those things.
Yes. So I don't have the same nostalgia as what Seth has since he's played the GameCube version. I never played the GameCube version, so this is my first time playing through it. And I will say I kind of agree on there's a lot of dialogue to read and not enough gameplay. That's the one like it's good. Like the dialogue's good. There's nothing wrong with the dialogue. I'm actually very entertained by by what the characters are saying. It does make me laugh and sometimes roll my eyes. But and it also goes into some dark places too, which is really interesting for a kids game. But
this is not a kids game. This is not a kids game.
We know that.
What do you
Nintendo
mean it's
doesn't
not a
roll
kids
like
game? It's
We've
a
already
Mario
established
game.
that.
It is not a kids
No.
game. That's the problem.
We
That's
know
where
how
everybody's
Nintendo
getting
rolls.
twisted at. This is not a kids game.
It's not a kids game.
It's a
Okay, look at
family
Majora's
game.
Mask.
It's supposed to be a family game.
Thank you, Riley. Thank you. Complaining about too much reading. This is an RPG. You read.
Here's the thing. I don't mind the reading. The thing is though, I just wish there was more to do. I'm only like here's the thing. I'm only
You don't like open world games. You don't like open world games.
Let me explain.
That's far out, Ron. Just get out of
It
here.
is far out. You ain't lying.
Anyways, fully
Slander
continue, please.
for
I'm only
for a thousand year door.
I'm only partway through chapter 2. I don't know how much I'm expecting a lot more. This is apparently going to be like a 30-hour experience. Which, that's fine. I don't mind it when games, go that long. It's just there's a lot of dialogue and I just wish there was a bit more of gameplay. I don't know. My mind might change by the time I get halfway through it or towards the end of it. It might it's just my first impressions at the moment.
I'm sorry.
That's just how.
Does it have enough farming for you? You need some turnips.
I'm not Locklith. Okay, I don't want it. It doesn't need to have farming.
It's a lot of hating. There's a lot of hating going on with this
I'm
game.
not
This
hating
is one of the
on it.
goats.
I'm
This is
not
one of the
hating
goats.
on it. Relax,
one of the ghost
Max.
people.
I am not hating
You
on
and Seth. You and Seth just get your little hater car and just drive around.
I'm
Well, la-di-da is what you were looking for, Ron.
Feels that way.
Yeah.
like I said, I don't have the same nostalgia, but as a first time going into it, it's a good game. I love the look of it. It's really pretty. It's a lot of fun. There's just a lot of dialogue.
No,
I don't like to read, guys.
But-
Reading sucks.
But you know what,
okay?
though? It's important, though, Ron, because, we played that game back in the day, but also, it's interesting to hear from a perspective of someone who's just brand new to this game
is.
now.
It
And
is. I'm just
playing it
giving
with
it
a
a hard
modern
time.
perspective, because I do think, even though I haven't played it, I get the sense that this game is very much a game of its time, of, very much to the early 2000s role-playing games. And just not everyone's into that kind of thing, and that's okay. I think you got to be okay with that.
It's mostly this game is mostly story. I will say, from what I've gotten so far, it is mostly story, and the story's great. It's very entertaining. So it's really good. But
How dare you, Nintendo? How dare you make an RPG? Don't ever do this again.
A lot.
Thank you.
It's just too much dialogue. That's all.
Please, Ron. We know that we're gonna now that this and Mario RPG both are selling well. There's gonna be another RPG.
Well, we know that Koala's not gonna like it. She doesn't like to read.
Look, the only reason why I'm complaining about too much dialogue is because I'm streaming it and I have to put on voices. So
Well, it's also one of those things too, where it's it'd be different if you were really into the dialogue, if it was really engaging or you were really enjoying the story. But if you're not enjoying the story and there's that much dialogue, of course that's going to be a negative, right? That's I think it's just how invested you are in the dialogue. Similar to reading a really good book. If you're not into the story of that book, you're obviously not going to want to keep reading it, right? So
yeah, exactly.
yeah, I think that's a good comparison.
Anyways, let's
good at
move
you're
on
good
to
at
what
voices,
else I've
Paul,
been
yeah.
playing other than a Nintendo game on a PlayStation.
Yeah, what else are you gonna diss? Let's continue.
I'm not dissing. Relax. So I also got the opportunity to play a Memoir Blue, which is a really short story visual novel kind of game, point and click style game. And I managed to platinum it. So I got my 7th platinum so far.
Catching up, catching up.
I needed to take a break from everything else that I've been playing that's been so long. So now it's just come on, Riley.
Yeah,
Stop
Riley.
For
Get
audio
it.
listeners, Riley King chimed in the Discord.
Yeah, Riley.
No.
Another crown. Another one. And another.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
All
I'm
these
not.
titles.
No.
Disc Queen.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not taking them. I'm not taking them.
Anyways, continue, Fulia, please.
Yes, Memoir Blue. It's a really pretty game. It's by who made it? Was it oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the developers. I think it's
You talk about the game, I'll look it up.
yeah. Anyway, it's a really nice game. It's emotional, so there are going to be some feels. Especially when you'd say it's a very like a family related sort of story. It's a mother-daughter sort of a story where the daughter's sort of looking back on her past relationship with her mother and all that sort of stuff, and how her family, and like she was from a broken family, and but she really loves to swim from when she was a child. So the whole theme throughout the whole game is she's like underwater. There's a lot of swimming involved, fish, and all that sort of stuff. So it's actually really, really cool, really well done. And I really enjoy playing through that particular game.
So Cloisters Interactive.
Thank you.
Maybe.
But yeah, so yes, Ron.
Since you enjoyed the game so much, I'm assuming that you didn't have to read in this one.
There was
Jesus.
no dialogue at all in this one.
Oh, is that the reason why you loved it so much?
No.
Oh,
I'm very close to making Ron go bye-bye with this one button.
that's
right here.
fine. If that's what you want to do. I got other things I can do.
Yeah, that's the one thing about this game that, like, it was really nice to just be immersed in the experience of it all. But the thing was, this one was one of those type of games where there's actually no dialogue whatsoever, not even voiceovers or anything like that. It's just more of a visual it's a visual game. So you definitely need to understand the context of what's happening on the screen. But it's quite self-explanatory, and it actually worked really well for what it was. And it's only I think it's like a 2 to 3 hour experience, not even. So it's actually really it's really good.
Okay.
So I enjoyed that one.
Nice.
And then I played a bunch of demos, a bunch of indie demos. One of them being Fishbowl, which is where I played it. I played it on the PlayStation, and the demo is there. That's another emotional kind of a game. It's a game based on, it was made during the pandemic, so it's a game where you're isolated on your own at home. And yeah, it's another feels game. The graphics is very kind of like pixel arty. It's really nice and pretty, and yeah, it was a good time. Like the demo for it, the demos that I'm mentioning, I have actually put up videos for on my YouTube channel. They're really good. I do recommend checking it out. And I think it's also on PC, so if you want to play the demo, you can for Fishbowl.
Nice.
Another demo that I played was called Copycat, and that's made by Australian developers. And you actually kind of play like a first-person to third-person view, so it sort of alternates as the cat. And it's actually really interesting because it's a game where this cat is very sort of it must have been traumatized before it was found and taken to the pound, I suppose. And an old lady comes along and adopts a cat, and you get to choose between whatever cat is available there to be the cat. And so the old lady takes the cat home, and you're very scared. So there's a lot of things about a cat that you kind of have to understand, but it's not easy for certain. I think it also would work for dogs as well, that especially if they've been sort of traumatized when they were younger or with a different owner, and they've been abused or anything like that, so they get a bit scared about being near humans. So that's kind of, you're getting the cat's perspective on that sort of, in that sort of scenario. And it has like, there is some voiceover work with the humans, but also with the cat, you have like small snippets of dialogue popping up everywhere you sort of walk. And that's the cat's thoughts, which is really interesting. And so, yeah, you get to cause a little bit of mischief. You sort of get to run around in the house, knocking things down and finding food for your cat bowl. But you're also trying to warm up to the human that adopted you. But this human is also very old, very sick. And so now and the reason why she ended up adopting this cat is because she lost her previous cat. And so she thought maybe if she replaced the cat with a new one, but still called it the same name, it would still fill that void for her. So it's a very interesting concept for a story, and I kind of enjoyed it. So it's definitely worth at least checking out on PC at the moment. I'm not sure where else it'll be coming. And the last demo that I ended up playing was the star named EOS. And that one's more of it's a hidden objects puzzle game, which is really cool. First person, of course. And yeah, it was really cute. It's really, really nice sort of art style. And I really enjoyed the puzzle aspect of it. There's a lot of things you have to look out for in order to unlock certain like cabinets and chests and drawers and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, so you definitely need to pay close attention to your surroundings in the room that you're in. And yeah, it's actually really, really nice. I kind of like it. Yes.
Ron?
Yes, Ron?
You named all these things, and you still have not named Duck Detective. What's going on here? Are you just not going to play it? What's going on?
I'm going to get around to it, all right? I will get around to it. It's going to happen.
There are so many demos to play, Ron. You don't understand.
It's Steam Neckfest season. Come on. It's like there's a lot of demos.
I was going to say, you got to prepare yourself a little bit for it, because
Steam
I think
Queen, Disc Queen, Platinum Queen.
Oh. No. Stop it.
Ranch Queen.
Demo Queen is all I'll take. That is all I'm taking. That is the only crown I will wear.
Yeah, I mean, Steam Next Fest, you're right, is like right around the corner. I knew that you were gonna be busy with that. So
yeah, that's why I'm playing a lot of demos, because of that. So
yeah,
okay, all right.
Yeah, I will get there. I did buy it for a reason. I'm gonna play it.
Okay.
And excuse me for asking, but when are you gonna be playing it, huh?
When the will chooses it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
who knows when that'll be?
You don't have a will. You don't have a will.
Yeah, but maybe you won't be playing it this year.
I might not play it ever. It all depends.
Exactly. So you can't tell me that. Don't diss me. Thank you.
I don't do that, ma'am. Only you do.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways. The last game that I want to mention is actually a game I'm quite addicted to. And this is my first roguelite experience.
of course.
Oh.
Of course.
What?
Yeah.
Didn't see that coming.
Yeah. Has anyone ever heard of a little game called Coffee Caravan?
No, but I can understand why you'd be addicted to it, because coffee is addictive.
I do have a video for it, and it's on my YouTube channel. It's a cafe management sim roguelite. If you can sort of get your head around that.
How does that work?
Nope. I can't.
Yes.
I cannot get my head around
Do you
it.
die? How does that and come back with different skills?
Yeah.
How does that work?
All right. So someone explain to me the what is involved for a roguelite in terms of its gameplay.
You basically you ascertain skills that are temporary, but also some that are permanent, and then you will retain those skills after you die and come back.
And you die a lot.
A lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So it takes that concept of a roguelite and puts it into a cafe management sim, but without dying. It's all cozy. It's about coffee. You're making coffee. And essentially you have a little map with pathways that you can choose from. And then you play each day one day could be easy, one day could be hard. You have to make money and you use that money to buy new equipment, new coffee recipes, upgrades to your equipment, decorations for your cafe. Some of those decorations will have elements that will help you or hinder you. There will be circumstances for, the rest of the run. So you'll hit something. It could be that, customers will be 10% less. They'll pay 10% less than usual days. So you won't make as much profit. Or it'll be a good day where there'll be, that you will be able to have faster customers coming in a little bit quicker and all that sort of stuff. So it sort of adds to that. But if you have, so there are also patience levels for the customers. And if the customer gets impatient, if one customer is impatient, you fail to serve that one customer, you fail the day and you start again. You lose all of your profits.
Okay. I was waiting.
You lose
something's got to
lose all your profits.
Now I get
but
it.
You keep the equipment and the upgrades that you've gotten and the recipes that you've gotten, but you lose your money and you have to start from scratch.
That's punishing.
Customer.
Okay.
Good grief.
Now I get
one
it.
customer.
Yeah.
That's where the challenge comes in. And then you have to sort of build your way up to the extreme day. So the extreme day is the last, it's kind of like the boss level.
Okay.
It's like the day where you'll have the most amount of customers come through for the day. Just like real life, exactly.
Now, Fulia, Michael has an interesting question in chat. How many skills are in the barista tree? You need to
there's no skill tree for this. There's no skill tree. You're only unlocking coffee recipes, and depending on the size of your caravan is the amount of equipment that you'll be able to fit into it. So you have to rearrange your cafe so that it has whatever equipment you need to make the coffee.
Honestly, this doesn't sound like a roguelike. This sounds like an RC Pro-Am like. RC Pro-Am, of course, is a game on the NES where you're upgrading your car and you're kind of doing the same kind of loop that you're describing. But Ron has a question from the press pool.
Ron's got all the questions tonight.
So, for the customers that get irate, are you able to toss coffee in their face?
No.
Jesus. So you have no way to defend yourself.
This is a cozy game.
Roguelites aren't cozy.
This sounds hard. This isn't cozy.
No,
that sounds hard.
This doesn't sound cozy at all.
One customer that's upset. No thanks. This game's way too hard for me.
You can't defend yourself against the irate customers. This is not a sad.
Maybe you know what I'll
just like real life. Just like real life.
Just like real life. I don't want a bad Google review.
I'll stream it. I'll stream it on the Carpool Gaming Twitch one day, and then you'll see what I mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Wow.
You'll see what I mean. I've managed to upgrade my caravan from a small one to a medium one now. I have a medium-sized caravan, which means I can have more equipment in it and more things outside to help with patience levels of customers. So it's a very good game. I really
got some boxes back there. They handle those customers like they want to give bad reviews. Huh? Tuck them away somewhere.
I was gonna say BA Mac brings up a great question here. Can you at least call the manager to the front?
You are the only person who works at this caravan. You are the only person looking after this cafe. Yes. You don't have anyone else helping. It's life. Just you.
Well, no, I don't. I want to play video games.
I'm with Matt. This does not sound like a cozy game whatsoever.
This is like real life too much, too real.
I mean, it's like you're playing The Sims, but on hard mode.
Yes. No, thank you.
Yeah. Just no thanks.
Riley says
thank you, Riley. See?
So
there's people out there who's interested.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on. I played some games this week. I'll go through them real quick. Number one, I'm on the Nintendo hater train, I guess, this week because I played Metroid Other M this week. I talked about it where I was starting it last week, but I barely played it. I got 6 hours in and I dropped this game. It was on my games, the list of games, 10 games that I wanted to beat for the first time in 2024, but I could not do it anymore. I couldn't do it anymore. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't the story. A lot of people get hung up on the story of Metroid Other M being really dumb and stupid. And I actually didn't mind that because I'm just used to that from other Team Ninja games because this game is a game made by Team Ninja. but it was more the combat and the act of playing the game that just killed it for me. Because for folks that don't know, who haven't played Metroid Other M before, it's a 3D action game, like a third-person shooter, but you control it using like the Wiimote sideways, so with no analog sticks. And you're using the D-pad to move around with like the one button to shoot and the two button to jump. But then there are certain points where if you want to use your missiles, for example, or to actually aim at the enemy, you got to turn the Wiimote sideways and point it towards the TV to then enter first person mode, which of course with Wii Waggle being a thing, like sometimes it doesn't read that you point it directly to the TV. So you have to like do it again, or maybe a couple times for it to actually switch over properly. But by the time you do that, you're usually hit by an enemy because you can't evade enemies while you're in first person mode. So it's just
multi-pass.
Not only that, but it has this like auto target system when you're in the third person camera, and it's a mess to play. I could not get through it, unfortunately, which is too bad, because this will go down in history, Ron, as the only Metroid game I've never finished. Because I've played I finished all the games, including...
You tried it. It's an asterisk there.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. Because I finished both Federation Force and Metroid Prime Pinball, but I will never finish this game. So, but, it's one of those things where it's like, I mean, at least I give it a shot, Ron. At least I give it an honest chance, because 6 hours in, I was like halfway through the game when I dropped this game. Because it's only like a 10-hour game. So
I was surprised you made it that long, because
I'm surprised.
That sounds like that's a lot too much going on.
really tried to power through it. I really did. Ooh. And I could have gotten to the end, but I knew like some of those boss encounters towards the end of the games would have just been slogs. They just would have been miserable to play. Or at least I'm just not into it. I know, like, I caught a little bit of flack for this when I posted over on Twitter that I dropped this, because I know some people actually really enjoyed this game, but I don't know. It just wasn't for me, and I wasn't gonna say. I have a rule basically where if I'm not enjoying myself, that I'm just gonna go and move on and play something else.
Yeah, and you should. There's too many games to play.
Yeah, 100%. So. There you go. I also played more Final Fantasy 14. You guys don't need to know about that, but I had to, of course, update y'all and tell you that I'm still playing it. And then I started a new game this week that I've never played before, Horizon Forbidden West. I started playing that game this week. And I'm 5 hours into that and really, really enjoying it. I'm actually having a good time. Now, I haven't gotten to the point where everyone always talks about where there's a ton of side content and there's a ton of extra stuff that people just don't like about this game. But, so far so good with it. I like that, where the game starts out and then how the story starts and stuff like that. And I like, just being back in this world with Aloy, who's a character I really like, because I actually really enjoyed the first Horizon game. But I just waited forever to play this because it came out at a time where a bunch of other games were coming out as well. So I just decided to wait on this one. Like I was playing Elden Ring instead of this, essentially. So
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, because they came out, if you remember, Ron, they came out like the same time, basically.
That's what Guerrilla does.
I remember.
Horizon just can't catch a break. They release it at the wrong time.
What was the first
every time.
Breath of the Wild, right? And then Elden Ring.
Yeah, first time Breath of the Wild, this time the second time with Elden Ring. So
I don't know who picks the release dates for, like, stop doing that, please.
Yeah, next thing you know, like the Lego Horizon game or the Horizon Zero Dawn remake will come out the same week as like the new 3D Mario game or something. Because of course,
probably
they have a bad history of doing such. So yeah, it could.
Yeah. But either way, I'm enjoying it so far, but I'm admittedly not as far into it as I should be because I watched a lot of horror movies this weekend and watched, I binged all of X-Men 97, which I loved. I thought it was awesome. And I can't wait for season 2 because one of my favorite X-Men villains of all time looks like he's going to be the bad guy in season 2, and I can't wait to see.
I'm on episode 8, so I'll be able to wrap it up probably this weekend.
Okay. And then I also marathon Gundam Seed because of course I did. I love Gundam Seed. It's an early 2000s anime that just goes straight to my heart with nostalgia. So that's what I did this week. But
all right.
Anyways, before we get into the topic of the week, I have a little side topic that we need to cover real quick. Fuya, we did a whole episode where we had our reactions to the state of play, but you were unable to join us. So I wanted to know that we've gotten our thoughts out there. What your thoughts were on the state of play. How did you enjoy it? Again, we did like a full deep dive on that episode. If people want to know what Ron, myself, and Matt thought about it, go back and listen to that. We put it out on both the Free Freeze and Patreon. But Fulia, you have the floor. I'd love to hear from you. What do you think about it?
Talk to us, Queen of PSD. Let's go.
Queen of PSD.
Not sure what to say. There was only one thing that really excited me, and that was the last thing that was announced.
But that's okay. That's okay.
Right.
That's okay.
Yeah,
That's okay.
We welcome all opinions on State of Plays here. Like, if you didn't enjoy it, that's okay. Like, we'd love to. We just want to know either way.
So, like, for me, it was all right. It was okay. I think the only other thing that really kind of piqued my interest a little bit was the Marvel Rivals game.
That's interesting.
A little bit.
I'm interested.
Not Infinity Nikki?
No. See, I never played the
Really?
mobile game and all. Like,
But the
I
mobile
just-
games were basically just dress-up games, for as far as I know. Like, they weren't even this type of game.
Yeah.
It looked like
I don't
it was
know.
super
It just
cozy.
gave me the Infinity Nikki kind of gave me a lot of Genshin Impact vibes, and I didn't really get into Genshin, so I'm just like, it's not really for me, to be honest. Like it looks great, it looks cute and all that sort of stuff, and I love the vibes of it. It looks very like cozy and all that, and very cutesy. I just didn't see myself getting into it. That's all. I don't think I'll be getting into it.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
okay, though. Like, the main thing is Astrobot, though. Seems like you're very excited about
Yes.
Astrobot. I think we're all excited about Astrobot. We can't.
Yeah, Astrobot looks good, man.
So
We are.
even I was unable to watch the live stream of the actual the state of play, because when it went live, I started work.
Of course.
So when I was able to, before anyone else spoiled it for me, because there were workmates that were talking about it when I was working, and I was like, I need to leave this area so I don't get spoiled. So I watched it while I was working, and then when Astrobot came up at the end, I was very audible. I was like, yes, and I was so excited, and I am just, I really need it now.
Yeah.
I really want that game. I loved playing Astro's Playroom. It was so much fun. I kind of wish I was able to play like the previous iterations of the Astrobot games. I never got to. So Astro's Playroom was my first foray into the Astrobot world. So now we're getting a whole new game that's going to do the same thing as what Astro's Playroom did by utilizing the DualSense to its maximum potential, hopefully.
Yep.
And we get to fly around in a giant PS5 console. Like,
Well, you also get to fly around on a DualSense.
yes,
well.
exactly.
Amazing. I love that stuff.
I
So
love
good.
the whole idea of it. The fact that there's a lot of PlayStation Easter eggs in there as well, and
Well, they also
it just
mentioned
looks
in the
cute.
PlayStation blog post, I don't know if you saw it, that there's going to be over 150
Yes, I
PlayStation
saw
characters
that.
you rescue, and then you take on some of their abilities, which means we're going to give them even more obscure characters, which finally means, y'all, Dart from Legend of Dragoon may finally come back in a video game. Oh my God. Yes, my prayers have been answered. I've been asking for Legend of
Lower those
Dragoon.
expectations, Ryan. You know?
No, you
Anything's
never.
possible, Ron.
Well, I
Anything's
was going to say,
possible.
that 150, that's a lot of different
It's
characters.
a lot of characters. He and you know what? He might be right.
I mean, he was almost in PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. He was this close. He was like the next set of. He was in the next set of DLC characters that just didn't make it out the door. So, but I'm gonna be interested to see all the different characters and all the different callbacks, because I think they're going to go with some like obscure callbacks as
Oh,
well.
that means Matt's favorite character
it's-
from Days of Gone will be in it. Hmm?
It's going to be interesting for me
Oh, that'd be
because
great.
I may
Yes.
not know half the characters that pop up. So I'll be like, oh, who's this character from? So I'll know the obvious ones like Kratos and Aloy and Nathan Drake.
You can
and all
St.
that sort of
John
stuff.
from Days of Gone.
Who?
Exactly, Koala.
Wow. Damn.
Just some motorcycle guy.
I'm being genuine.
Just
Who's-
some.
I mean, Matt,
Wow.
it's more likely that they actually bring in just the motorcycle from Days Gone instead of Ethan St. John from Days Gone.
No, we need Deacon St. John, and we need
same
him
amount of
talking to
personality.
himself.
The
all right?
motorcycle and him, the same thing.
But you're also gonna get like the dude from Siphon Filter. You're gonna get like the medieval guy. Ratchet and Clank. Like I think there's gonna be some awesome characters in this. So
Yeah, I think so. So it'll be a lot of fun, and I am super pumped to play that. I cannot wait. That is day one for me, 100%. I'm playing that.
All right. all
Riley
right.
asked the question though: I'm curious to know if this affects us at all. I'll be curious to hear thoughts on when they announce that it's a full price game, because we talked about that. We talked about that in the state of play, where it's like, after our reactions is just like, will this be a $70 game? Because I was the one who seems to think it will be.
After I saw the details of the 80 plus levels and everything like that, now I can say that if they do $70, then yeah, that's fine.
It makes sense then.
Yeah.
100%.
Make that like 80 or 90 Australian.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like 70 American dollars for you. Like
70 American dollars.
That's going to be $100 Canadian game before taxes. So that's just how that works. And I mean, I live in Ontario where the taxes are the highest, so it's going to be a whole thing. But you know what? It's going to be worth it. I'm so excited for us to play as well.
It looks great.
Yeah. But now, of course, now that we've got your thoughts out of the way, we also made predictions around this state of play. So we are going to crown the state of play predictions champion here, folks. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to read off all of the predictions we made and the points that I assigned to each person. So we're going to start with myself. Silent Hill 2 comes out on October 29th. Of course, it's coming out at the beginning of October 7th. But then that's even a misnomer because it actually has 48-hour early access if you get the deluxe edition. So October 5th. Either way, I said on the show that if it wasn't exactly correct, I get 0 points. It was not exactly correct, so 0 points.
You're very close, though.
Pretty close. Yeah, only by a couple weeks.
Close.
I knew it was going to be October because of Halloween, right? Like, that makes perfect sense for a game
makes
like
sense,
that.
yeah.
But, also, holy crap, I don't know if y'all caught it afterwards, but Konami did like the Silent Hill showcase, and they posted 15 minutes of gameplay of Silent Hill 2 on their YouTube channel in full 4K, and that game looks even like so much better over there even. Like, I can't wait for that game.
Thank goodness they improved it. Jeez.
Yeah,
So it's
it's a huge step over the last time we saw it.
Geez, tell us how you really feel, Ron.
Yeah.
Well, it did. It did.
Also, I got to welcome in Drellish. Greetings, everyone, up
Hello,
early
Michael.
for the show. It's so early in the morning for Drellish. So, welcome on in, Drellish. Well, my second prediction, Spider-Man Venom is announced. It's coming out in 2025. No points awarded. There was no Insomniac.
It's all right.
I'm going to get to Ron in a second. But, yeah. And then my third prediction, which is going to sound very familiar later in the show, Resident Evil 9 is announced, coming January 2025. That did not get announced either. So 0 points. But maybe that gets announced later. Wink, wink. So I got 0 points overall. The goose egg, as they might say. Ron, your first prediction, Wolverine gets a story trailer.
Yep.
That did not happen. 0 points.
Goose egg. Yep.
Yep. Ghost of Tsushima 2 is announced. No, that didn't happen. So 0 points.
Ron.
But then, Ron,
It's gonna be zeros all around.
a live service game will be shown, either Haven, Marathon, or Concord.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
Oh,
Concord was certainly shown. You were awarded 1 point for that.
Oh, all right.
So Ron currently in the lead
nicely done.
with 1 point. In fact, because I had to have you, because you originally just said live service games will be there. And I was like, no, we need some kind of clarification because that's too broad of a question. So you specifically mentioned those 3 games by name. So that's why you got points for that. So Ron's got
So
1
Ron,
point.
aren't you happy now that they showed Concord at the state of play?
Man, that's a
happy
double-edged
now,
sword.
right?
I mean, I got 1 point out of it, but golly, that was a long, 16 minutes?
And
Oof.
listener
Worth it.
notes. I'm just going to throw this out there because they did announce that Concord was going to be there ahead of it, like when they announced the state of play. But we recorded this well before the state of play was announced. So none of us actually knew what was going to be there. So just FYI on that. Fuya, you're next. PS5 Pro is shown in a tease. That did not happen. 0 points.
I try.
It's all right. I wish I had.
Next up, a new game from Blue Point Games will be shown. 0 points. That did not happen.
That was surprising. That was
It was.
surprising they didn't show up. I actually was shocked. I was waiting for something too.
And then final prediction for you. The Lego Horizon game will be announced. It's coming holiday 2024. No, 0 points. In fact, no Horizon at the show.
These
in
are
general.
all things that should have happened.
Yeah. My honorable mention
Yes.
was the one
Yeah.
that was mentioned.
Right. Yeah, because you talked about PlayStation VR 2 games in your honorable mention, but it was
did.
not for points. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So 0 points for Fulia. Again, sporting the goose egg. Matt, it all comes down to you. Can you beat his royal bareness? Matt's first prediction. Resident Evil 9 is announced coming January 2025. that did not happen. So,
it did not.
You and I both had the exact same prediction, which was hilarious because we did it on 2 different shows, and you didn't go back and listen to the old show, so you didn't know. But next up, an update for Metal Gear Solid Delta is shown coming 2025. I wish that, but no, 0 points are rewarded. Maybe we'll see that at Summer Game Fest or the Xbox.
It might. It might happen.
They might.
Your final prediction, though, and this is a multi-parter, so stick with me. Astrobot is announced, not for PlayStation VR 2, and it's coming in October of 2024. So math is hard on this one.
You were close.
So close.
2/3 of this prediction is incorrect. So Astrobot's coming out, and it's not on PlayStation VR 2. They've confirmed that, but it's coming out in September and not October. So I awarded you 0.66 points.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ron, you are officially the predictions champion. Here's a crown.
Yes.
You are the king of predictions with 1 point.
So that crown
you.
you'll take.
Thank you, Concord. Thank you, Concord.
Concord did
I don't
something
get
right.
mad about the crowns, Koala. I just got a lot of places. I got to put them all over the place. I need a shelf for them.
Yeah. So we know next time predictions roll around who to watch out for. Ron, we got to make sure that Ron doesn't go back
We'll
to
see.
back.
Always bet on live service, guys.
You're not wrong.
Don't make your honorable.
Especially
Don't
PlayStation.
bet on things that are actually going to show as an honorable mention. Actually, go with your gut.
Yeah.
That's right. Go
Also-
with your gut sometimes.
Drellish points out, wow, who could have thought you could win with only 1 point? Drellish, during the Xbox Drive's reign of predictions, there were many times where Sean and I would get down to 0.0 points, and the winner would win by with 0.05 points.
Oh, my.
Would be the winner of that year.
It happens.
So,
Wow.
yeah. So Ron, you are his Royal Baroness is officially the winner of predictions.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll
PlayStation
find out
champions.
again. There'll be another prediction around the corner.
Yeah. And to be fair, it's one of those things where, we could have, in theory, Matt, made this predictions just all of Summer Game Fest, because I think you and I might end up being right about Resident Evil 9, maybe, because it still has the potential of being announced. But I think that, we specifically narrowed it down to this particular showcase. So no points for us, I'm afraid. But
All good.
yeah. Anyways, let's transition into topic of the week. So we're going to talk about our favorite villains of all time, because we like villains. I, of course, am Carpool Gaming's villain. So, of course, I really like villains in video games. And I'm excited for us to talk about our favorite villains in games. Now, again, we didn't really come up with lists or anything like that. We're just going to go around the room and just talk about some of our favorite villains. And then many people in the Carpool Gaming community chimed in about their favorite villains as well. So we'll get to those a little bit later. So shout out to everyone, by the way, who submitted both questions and, suggestions for this topic, because there were so many of y'all out there. So huge thank you to everyone out there.
Thanks, everybody. Yes.
Yeah. So let's go around the room, and we'll start with you, Matt and Ron, because you are officially the champion, so you get the honor of going first with this week's topic. So
that's great. Well, I'm gonna start with the villain that I know you might steal first, Ryan. So I'm going with Saren, Mass Effect. And, come on, Saren is great.
you stole it.
I was like, let me start with that one first, because Ryan might take him. Saren is just great, though. I mean, the whole game, he's viewed as just, wow, he was iconic history. People looked up to him. Then he just turned and he was a traitor. And everybody was just super upset with him. So without going into spoiler territories, by the time you get to the end of that game, you find out there was a method to the madness. And that just makes Saren even greater. His voice work was fantastic. The way he was just an artful villain. And he was cunning as hell. And he was really hard to hate. You're not really supposed to like villains, but when sometimes performances are just so great with certain characters that they just sell it the whole time. And Saren was just that perfect villain. I think he's probably my favorite all time of video games. Saren's just great.
Yeah. That's a slam dunk answer, because Saren is such a great answer, and he's actually very similar to a villain I'm going to talk about a little later in the show, where again he's a very sympathetic character, because he's doing what he thinks is right for the galaxy, and it's just not going the right way. And we see that with a lot of villain stories as well. In fact, one of my predictions for the Fallout TV series is one of the the main characters is going to kind of turn into that archetype as well. So like, I think that, that I really like that approach to a villain where, you understand why he's doing what he's doing. And again, also the voice actor who plays Sarah just really sells it too.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So good. Such a good villain. But, Matt, what about you, man? What's your first villain you want to share with us?
It's funny because when we got this topic, Ron and Fulia and I were chatting about our villains, and Fulia, I think she said she has some villains that are going to impress Ron, and I immediately replied, my top villain is going to disappoint Ron, and he's like, I'm not going to be surprised anyways, so no shocker to anybody. My favorite villain from a video game of all time, has to be Abby from The Last of Us Part 2.
That's not a villain.
I remember playing that game.
She is.
See?
I certainly hate her.
That's what I mean. Villain, right? Some people hate her, and I remember playing that game for the first time, and it's a lot of the villains I got top. It's going to be hard to explain without spoiling it, so I won't spoil it. But a moment happens in The Last of Us Part 2, and I remember feeling so angry at Abby that I was literally shaking, and and this is from a video game, okay? Like I was shaking with anger, and I played that game so fast because I was like, I need to destroy Abby for what she did. I need to destroy, and I was so determined to go after her. Yeah, and then something happens in the game. I'm not gonna spoil it. Where the game really wants you to empathize, not just sympathize, but empathize, see things from Abby's perspective. And I'm like, nope, no, thank you. I don't want to do that. But the game really wants you to see things from her perspective. So I continued to play, and I went from feeling so angry that I'm shaking to, good God, like Naughty Dog did it. I actually empathized with Abby, and I really, really saw things from her perspective. And to go from such a dark emotion of like anger and hate to this one where I actually sympathize with the character, stroke of genius. And to be quite honest, I can see Ron's reaction. I know other people feel that way. I get a lot of people don't like The Last of Us Part 2. The way I see it is, I'm glad they at least tried something different. Because they could have, I agree. When they announced the game, I was like, I don't need a sequel. The Last of Us Part 1's perfect. They did it. They could have gone the safe way and just said, you know what? Here's a nice story with Joel and Ellie, and we're going to give you more of what the first game is. But they went very dark in the second game. Now, it didn't work for a lot of people, but it worked for me. And I'm glad that they tried something that they thought was right for the characters and stories, for the characters in the story for them. It doesn't work for everybody, but it worked for them, and certainly worked for me. So Abby is my top tier, and I played the remaster this year. But before I answer that question from Ryan,
thank you for recognizing me from the press. Well, hello, Ryan Tuffer from Carpool Gaming asking a question here. How do you feel about a villain showing up halfway through one complete experience? Because she's not, the villain through the full complete experience. She's only a villain for half of the complete experience.
He went there.
I should have seen that one coming. I'm okay with it. All right, I'm okay with it. It still works. Still works that it's only half the experience.
That was great.
Yeah, I deserve that one.
Yep.
Oh, he got you.
I'm sorry, but you've been pushing this whole narrative, so I had to. Of course.
I appreciate it.
Perfect timing, Ryan. That was great, man.
Yeah. I love it. But I remember playing the remastered this year, and I remember going through the story, and I was very curious because, your favorite games of all time, sometimes you revisit it and you kind of see it from a different angle. You don't like it as much. I love The Last of Us Part 2, even playing the remastered. Bald. And again, surprisingly, more empathy for Abby. I was very shocked by it. So that's my top tier one, for sure. Number one. Sorry to disappoint Ron and half the internet, for sure. At least half.
Oh, but
it's all right. I told you, it was no shock. I knew you were going to go. I had a feeling you were going to go there.
You knew it.
It's all right. Speak your truth, little brother.
Thank you.
But you know what? You got to go with your heart, man. And if that's how you feel, then, that's totally fine. Maybe I'll understand one day when I eventually play The Last of Us Part 2, because I've still never played that game. But
technically, it doesn't exist.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
But it's fine.
Yeah.
Just spent like 10 minutes talking about it, Ron.
Technically, it doesn't exist.
Yeah. I know Riley also asked, who is the villain of The Last of Us? And the answer is the villain is just the world itself and just the people that are in it. That's it. That's all I'm going to just say.
That's a great answer. That's a great answer.
Very good answer. I'm going to have to watch the playthrough of these games.
No.
I'm
not
playing them.
Experience it.
No.
No, I'm not playing them.
I think fully you would be probably just sufficient just watching the TV show instead.
Yes. Oh, just a series. Okay, all right.
Yeah, just the HBO show.
Okay.
I mean, the HBO show is just the story of the first game, but
It pretty much is.
Yeah.
The second one, I'm not so sure. I guess we'll see.
Because I think that you could probably maybe handle that a little bit better than actually playing a game in this horrifying world. I think.
Yes.
But
okay.
Still spooky.
I will do that.
Still spooky.
Yeah, I think that's the reason why she's not going to play it. First time she sit there and sees that bloater, she's going to be like, "I'm out."
But I feel like it's actually less spooky than the games are. I think.
You think so?
I think
no,
so.
I
have
I'm
evidence
with
of
Brian on
this
that.
from watching the show with someone who is just as scared as Fulia is with horror movies, and she could not handle watching a playthrough of the game, but could handle watching the show.
Yeah, the show wasn't that scary.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right.
I think it's just a different medium. I think shakes it up a little bit. But
Okay.
we'll see. But anyways, Fulia, first villain.
Okay. So coming on almost 12 months from its release, it's going to be a Final Fantasy 16 villain. And it's actually Hugo Kupka, who is also got his dominant is the Titan.
Yeah.
And that man is just scary as all get out in terms of his strength, the amount of power he has over a lot of people and a lot of areas. He's also like very powerful when it comes to money. He's one of the richest characters in the game. And but he's also in love with another villain, Benedicta, who's also got her own
Garuda.
Her own dominant Garuda. And yeah, he's an interesting character because there's a lot of passion in this man, and there's also a lot of hate in him too. And when you're fighting him in those, there's you have to fight him a few times to beat him. The first time you have to cut his hands off to be able to beat him, which is so bizarre for me.
Sometimes that's what you got to do. Take off the hands.
But then you meet him again, and he's got golden fists.
Yeah.
Like these massive things on the ends of his arms.
He's got the money. He's got the money to do it. Go
exactly.
For it. Yeah.
One of the richest men in Dalmatia. And he was just a very interesting character to me when I came across him. And it's just I never thought to myself that he would be a villain that I would hate so much. Compared to all the other villains I came across within Final Fantasy 16. Because I could have said Ultima, but Ultima didn't really have that much substance to him.
Well, he's also just not in as much of the game as the other villains are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because even the dominant of Odin, whose name I'm forgetting, he's like much more in the experience too than Ultima is.
Yeah. So, yeah. Ultima was... You only get to hear him most of the time. There's only times where you'll see him pop up here and there, but not very often.
No, they kind of did him similar to Sephiroth in OG Final Fantasy VII. Because in the original Final Fantasy VII, like, you really don't meet or see a lot of Sephiroth throughout your journey. You're just kind of seeing, like, the trail and the wake of, Sephiroth's destruction, but you don't really see him that often. So it kind of reminds me of that a little bit.
Yeah. So yeah, I think this is kind of the reason why I kind of liked Hugo Kupka in this particular game. He just had a bit more substance to him, and there was a lot more story. Like there was more to his background, to his personality that kind of hit me a little bit more, compared to all the others in the game.
Nice choice, Koala. Nice choice.
Yeah. Josh says, "Okay, I have a suggestion. Odin from God of War Ragnarok." I haven't played that game, so I don't know.
Nah, he was a good villain.
Cool. As for me, my first villain, I was introduced to on the old PlayStation Vita, and this is a game that I'm sorry, Flea, has a lot of reading in it, so it's going to be a lot. I knew if I didn't say anything, Riley King in the chat would have. So I didn't want to. I wanted to get out in front of it.
That means Koala's going to hate it. Instant hate game.
But I'm a huge fan.
Just didn't hate.
I'm a huge fan of the Danganronpa series. And the villain in the Danganronpa series is one of the main reasons why I love it. Monokuma from Danganronpa. He's basically a little stuffed teddy bear. He's like, a half black, half white teddy bear with, of course, like he's got like a little evil mouth on one side and like a smiley face on the other side. And that kind of it shows like how like the personification of like his dual personality, where he can be like really nice and cute and cuddly sometimes, and then he's like despicably evil other times. And I just love just how silly like he is throughout that experience. He's just a very funny but also like endearing character. Like in a lot of ways, like in a lot of great horror fiction, sometimes you end up cheering for the villain and you just like, yes, go Jason Voorhees, go murder all these teens at this summer camp. And that's kind of how I felt with Monokuma throughout the most of the experience through Danganronpa, where I liked Monokuma so much as a character that I was almost rooting for him in a way, where I was like, yes, make these children murder each other. Like it's a dark plot, but I'm just like, man, I love Monokuma. I think he's such a great villain, and just the writing for him, very similar to what you talked about with Sarah and Ron, like is so well done. In not just the first game, but all 3 Danganronpa titles. Like I love Monokuma. He's such a great character. So shout out to Monokuma. He's my first pick.
I will say I have watched Antics play through one of the Danganronpa games, so I can see why you kind of like Monokuma that much.
Yeah.
But also, side note, just randomly, the voice actor to Monokuma is coming to Melbourne.
Oh,
for
nice.
Oz Comic Con.
Also,
are you going to tell him how much you hate the game because it's rating?
I'm not going to Oz Comic Con. So.
Oh, okay.
Also, Monokuma is always in my background because I have a stuffed Monokuma up on my shelf that I got in Japan because I played that game on my entire flight to Japan. And then while I was there, I was like, I love the game so much that I had to track down something Monokuma related. So when I saw in Super Potato, one of the best stores in Akihabara, just this plucky of Monokuma, I'm like, I have to bring this home with me. So, yeah. Anyways, Ron, moving on. Give us another villain.
Vass from Far Cry 3. Usually I like villains that have, a method to the madness. Vass is an exception to that rule. But Ubisoft kind of just like nailed his craziness. He was just unhinged, but the voice actor for him and his dialogue just really sold him. I mean, he would just be sitting there just straight up just kind of just talking trash, but everything that he would be saying, it was just kind of just like, just methodical with it. And I'm just like, this guy is crazy, but I mean, at the same time, he's outstanding. And everything, even with the very first cutscene that they showed him, I want to say it was at the E3, when they gave the definition of insanity cutscene. Yeah. That was like one of his best moments, but he had other moments that were close to that. What I just hated that he was not like the official villain of Far Cry 3, because he pretty much bows out maybe halfway through that game. He should have been the official villain, man. Vass was just great, and I don't know. They kind of sold him short on that one. But
I was gonna say the person that they got to replace him later in the story is just
nowhere
great.
close.
I think that's what really stands out, because I think if you would have had like an equally strong villain or someone who could at least was serviceable, I think you wouldn't have had that problem.
Yeah, agreed. It's like they gave the best villain in the beginning, and then like, okay, well, we're gonna let him go, and then you got, I can't even remember who the guy was now. That just goes to show how forgettable he was.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's the difference between that and something like Mass Effect, where Saren's only the villain in the first game, but the other games, have other villains. But because the villains in the other Mass Effect games are so strong that you're okay. Like, it's not as much of a disconnect versus Saren being such a great villain off the start. Cool, man. Nice. That's a good pick. I like Voss a lot. So, Matt, what about you?
My second choice has to be the Shadow Lord from Nier Replicant. I can't explain it too much because it's basically ruins the whole experience of it. But I'm curious to see if Ryan feels the same way, because you played Nier Replicant. And so before I played Nier Replicant,
I want to clarify a point. I played it but never finished it, so I never got to the Shadow Lord section.
Oh, okay. So I'll be very careful with what I say. Before I played Nier Replicant, I played Automata, and then I read up on Replicant, so I kind of spoiled the story-ish for myself. played the game, it's obviously a different experience because you're fully immersed into it. But when you first meet the Shadow Lord, it's like so typical JRPG like villain. It's like it's so cheesy. But once you continue and play, and I remember talking to Hoppel about this because Hoppel played Near Replicant. The more you play it, you kind of see who you really understand who the Shadow Lord is and his motivations, and it kind of makes you second guess everything in the game, like almost everything, including the protagonist's motivations. You're kind of like, do I have to do this? And it's like, there's a meme about Yoko Taro games. It's like, well, I'm giving you $80 and Yoko Taro's giving you emotional damage because he's gonna wreck you. And that's what happens in the Replicant too. It's like, I don't know if I want to continue on this path. Like, it's too bad because you're going down this path. So Shadow Lord is fantastic villain because once you fully understand what he's doing and why, you'll get a greater sense of it. Ron from the press pool. Question,
friend. The emotional damage, is it, do you feel it's worth the $80? Is the emotional damage coming from actually playing the game or because the story's good?
I will give Yoko Taro $80,000, okay? Because I love the story. I love the emotional damage. Give it to me every
Don't
single
give him
time.
any ideas now. Why don't
know.
you? The next game will be so expensive.
Yoko Taro's been on the record. He's like, I like money. So you know what?
Oh,
Yeah,
so that's what
take
Bass
me up
trying to
on
do.
that.
He's trying to buy his way into the developer.
Please give me more Nier games. But definitely Shadow Lord, 100%. Like especially, I want to say after the first playthrough you get some sense of it. Once you get more, then you kind of really understand it. It's like, oh, okay, now I get it.
Nice.
Good old Shadow Lord from Near Replicant.
Okay. Shout out to Bradley King, who gives another selection from the chat. Rafe Adler from Uncharted 4.
Yeah, wanted to kill him.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Right from the get-go.
Yeah.
Right from the get-go.
Yeah.
Golly.
That's a good one.
Yeah. He was definitely better than the dude who drank purple sap from Uncharted 2.
Yeah, I love Uncharted 2, but God, that was
a game. That was something. All right. Fulia, give us another one.
Okay, so the next villain that I want to mention kind of played two roles. Played the villain and also the good guy, kind of. And that's Wheatley from Portal 2.
Oh my God. He was never a good guy. Okay? He seemed charming because he had a British accent.
I cannot wait to hear this.
Yes, please hear. Let's hear the reasoning.
He was kind of helpful. He helped. He guided you through to get you to certain areas, and of course found you some shortcuts as well. But then the moment that he turned against you was mainly because he wanted to have all the power that Gladys had, and it blew my mind the moment when that happened. I was just like, wait, what is happening right now? Why is Wheatley being mean? And so he was like up there for me about villains that I love to hate.
Yes, Rybo, exactly.
Well, I think the difference is, though, because I think Rybo in the chat's wondering why you didn't pick GLaDOS over Wheatley, but I think there's important context here. Because Fulia, I think you told us before you didn't play Portal 1, correct?
I have played it, but I played Portal 2 first before playing Portal 1.
So I feel like that plays into it a little bit. Whereas most people
GLaDOS
who really like
is a villain,
GLaDOS is from Portal 1, I think.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, definitely. Like, GLaDOS is definitely one of those type of villains where you're like, well, you have to go through all of these different areas because we're doing testing experiments, and so we want to see how well you'll do. But just by the time it hit that point with Wheatley, I was just like, dude, you had an ulterior motive and you used me. How dare you?
He was just very British and charming. That's just what happens.
But also,
make the great villains.
Shout out to Stephen Merchant for doing such a great job on his voice, on the voice of that character. It was so good. Stephen Merchant's hilarious, and the fact that I heard his voice playing Wheatley, it kind of made me love to hate him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
No.
He's also
Wheatley
such an
was
idiot
definitely
too. He's so silly. All right, a couple things from the chat before we go to mine. Number one, BA Max says Frank Fontaine from Bioshock.
Good choice.
That's an interesting one.
Very good
Nice,
choice.
Brit. Nice.
Yeah, I just hate the boss fight, but everything else is great about him. And then Riley King asked, who is the number one villain of Carpool Gaming? I think we all know the answer to that. I don't even need to ask this. Even though Matt's ID card says the Shadow Lord under him. We all know it's me. I'm the truest villain of Carpool Gaming. Come on. Mm-hmm. I blow up Megaton every time I go there. That's the rule when I play Fallout 3. It has to be done. So there you go. Also, shout out to Lotus Espirit for hopping on in the chat, waving to us. And then, my next one is from a little game. I don't know if y'all have heard of it before. It's called Final Fantasy XIV. It's a little indie game. I may have talked about it once or twice on the show before. Emmett Selk from the Shadowbringers expansion for Final Fantasy XIV. Emmett Selk, of course, also continues in the story of Endwalker, but he's kind of the main villain for the Shadowbringers expansion, and he is like an immortal being called an Ascian, and the Ascians are kind of like the big villains of the Final Fantasy XIV first arc, anyways. And they're basically trying to bring back the Shadow Lord Zodiark to basically come back and save all their friends. Essentially, when you learn about Emmett Selk's motivations, you come into the experience thinking that all the Ascians are evil. They're on the side of darkness. They just want to destroy the world, and we shouldn't sympathize with them at all. We should just destroy them. But he really throws a wrench into things where, similar to what you talked about with Sarah and Ron, he's a very relatable and sympathetic character in a ton of ways, where when you learn more of his backstory and learn why he's doing what he's doing, which I will not spoil here because it's one of the best moments in like that story from Shadowbringers. I loved learning about Emmett Selk, but also, again, the voice actor who plays him really sells it, as well as some excellent writing and dialogue from Emmett Selk. I think he's a really solid villain. Basically, in my opinion, and in many of people's opinions who have played Final Fantasy XIV, probably the best Final Fantasy villain of all time. I'm just going to say it. Even more than Kefka, more than Sephiroth, more than the random villain from Final Fantasy X, better than all of them, I think. I think he's solid. I love Emmett Selk, and it's a shame that we only really got him in Shadowbringers as the villain. Of course, he is prevalent in Endwalker, but in an interesting way. And I love kind of his involvement in the story there. So shout out to Emmett Selk. I know if Bowser or Fuya were here, they'd both be freaking out right now and be proud of me. So there you go. All right, Ron, give us one final villain. I know we're short on time, so we should probably do kind of.
I do want to shout out Yarden though for saying his favorite villain was the Controls in Shadow of the Colossus. I have to agree. Ow. I used to joke about the Controls being another Colossi. But,
wow.
My next villain is going to be Ganon or Ganondorf. My favorite ones are from Ocarina of Time, of course, and from Wind Waker. Ganon is just, he's intimidating. You fight him. He's a badass. And he's a bad guy. I mean, you can't go wrong with him. Plus, I mean, you think about it when it comes to like villains that kind of establish themselves early in gaming. Ganon has always kind of been that guy that's like one of the icons of the first like real villains in games. So, shout out to Ganon, man. That's one of my favorites.
Nice. I mean, he's not even barely in the best Zelda game of all time, Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. But you get to see him more. I love that they expanded his character in Ocarina of Time, because like I felt like in the first Legend of Zelda, he's just a pig guy you fight at the end of the game, and you don't really see much.
Yeah.
So I like that they expanded his character more, just like they kind of did with Bowser in some of the later Mario games as well.
Yeah, Ocarina of Time and Wind Waker are the best versions for me.
Yeah, nice. Riley King in here, just hot take. Actually, the ultimate PlayStation villain is the DualSense battery. You're not wrong.
He's not wrong.
Good one. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, Rybo, I love this one. The ultimate villain is whoever is the villain of Various Day Life.
Rybo.
It's a good game. It's a free 99, Ron. You could have had it. All right. Matt, what about you? Last one.
Last one I want to mention is Dutch Vanderlyn from Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2. And, I listened to Ron. I know he talked about it with Sean on the episode he did with Ikba. I'm glad you tried it again. It breaks my heart that you couldn't finish it, because in Red Dead Redemption 1, when you see Dutch Vanderlyn, like, he's a shell of a person that he is. Like
he
he's
is.
almost cartoonish because he's basically very unhinged and almost cartoonish. It's almost very one-dimensional. And Red Dead Redemption 2, if you haven't played it before, it's a prequel. It takes place before the events of RD1. So you actually get to see Dutch, I would say, almost in his prime. And you can kind of, again, you're probably seeing a trend with the villains. I like villains where you can really sympathize with them. Dutch is still doing some pretty heinous stuff in that game as well, but you can see from his perspective that he really thinks he is doing what he thinks is right for the gang. So when he says it's one more job, he really believes it is this one more job, even though everybody's like, this isn't one more job, like, and people are gonna die. But to him, it's just we just need to do one more. We're free, and he can't let go of how times have changed. The times of gunslingers has come to an end, and being an outlaw is not as easy as it used to be. You really see it. I talked to Marcus O'Neill about it, and how I compared it was there were some similarities to Breaking Bad in the sense that it was very heartbreaking to watch friendships fall apart, and that's what you see in Red Dead Redemption 2 because he's very close with his gang, and to see how the gang kind of splits apart because some people believe in Dutch, right? They're like, yeah, it's just one more job. We're outlaws. We have a right to do this. This is what we need to get done. Nobody's getting hurt. And, half the other gangs are like, this isn't right. Like, too many people are getting hurt, and it's not just, getting what's right from the government. And it's very sad to see. So, yeah, I know the mechanics are poo-poo because they're quite mundane. But the story, in my opinion, it's like 10 times better than Red Dead Redemption.
I'll co-sign with you that the story was great.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Did you watch the Let's Play?
RDR1, but it is a great story though. I watched the Let's Play of it a long time ago. So
yeah, it's fantastic, and so yeah, it's just again I'm gonna say it. It's one full experience, right? You gotta do both because you can see Dutch go from
do not do that.
very, very. I gotta do it. See, Riley King, thank you. Is Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2 an experience? The answer is yes, it is. So you can see.
Why?
You can see.
Just get me out of here.
Yeah.
What do I?
But it is.
For?
See,
it is incredible.
On that one. I'm proud of you for that pick. There you go. See,
yeah,
1 out of 3 isn't bad.
It's really sad. Sorry, that's better than 0. It's better than the goose egg.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was just tragic to see Dutch see how he was in Red Dead Redemption 2, and then especially when I went back and played Red Dead Redemption 1 again, and I was like, oh, he's a cartoon in the first game. It's very shocking, and he's very fleshed out in the second one. So I love sympathetic villains, even though I disagree with what they're doing. I'd like to get a sense of empathy. Okay. Sorry, B-Mac, good grief. What else did you expect? Shouldn't be surprised at this point, people.
That is kind of what this show has turned into, but it's fine. Wait till we get to my final villain, and then the memes will be back. Drellish shouting out, no one mentioned Sephiroth yet, but he needs to be mentioned. Most beautiful, long-haired villain, my one-winged angel. For me, Drellish, I'm just, Sephiroth, I don't know. We just don't really see a lot of him. And I actually don't even think he's really he's kind of like the big overall villain in a lot of ways. But I actually really like more like Rufus Shinra or the Turks even more because you just see them throughout the more. Yeah.
He's in my top 5. I mean,
I like him, but I just don't love Sephiroth. That's all. But he's got a cool sword though. But Fulia, how about you? Rounding things out.
So it kind of came down to 2 different crime bosses, I suppose.
Okay.
And I decided to go with one over the other because I've played a bit more of it. And that's Daisuke Kuze from Yakuza 0.
Sure.
Oh.
And there's the I've impressed Ron moment.
Yes, you have. Oh. Great pick.
Honestly, the fact that he is one of the secondary antagonists of the game. He is a boxer first and foremost. That's his fight style, and just the way that he's got so much, he feels like he's got all this power, but he doesn't really. And it's amazing that he's so intimidating as well, and he's I don't know, how else do I explain that he was a really good He was a really good villain. And the fact that he would go to the ends of the earth for the Dojima family and cut off a finger to show his loyalty to them is insane. It's nuts. I would never do that. No way. Yeah, it was massive. But the other thing I will mention, the tattoo he has on his back is so, like, it's really cool. Mm-hmm. I actually like it. Like, I know it means in Japan is actually not a good thing, but the design of his tattoo is, like, really awesome. Like, it's like a dragon, I think it is. And
yeah, but it's very complicated.
Yeah, no, I know. It looks really awesome, but, like, you know, you can't really turn around and be like, oh, yeah, I like Yakuza villains.
That probably look a little weird.
Yeah.
3 for 3. Look at that. Yes.
Riley can just get out of there with the chat with that. Oh my God, please.
No.
Make it stop.
But you know what? I hate to say it. Actually, Riley's right. It is all actually one experience.
Thank you, Ron.
I love Yakuza. I hate to sit there and use Mash Thing, but yeah, it actually is.
Use it.
Well,
one experience. Let's go.
I still need to finish Yakuza 0. So it is kind of there waiting for me to finish off. But I do also now own, apart from the Like a Dragon games, I own all of the other Yakuza games now, including the Kiwami ones. So I do want to get around to actually playing them.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
That's so many hours, by the way. That's so
I
much
know.
Yeah, you in for a ride with that one.
That one experience is gonna take me a lifetime.
Yeah.
It'll be all right.
Also, Riley, we love you. You don't have to run away. But,
yeah, we love you, Riley. Come on.
yeah. Shout out to Riley, by the way, who's always like one of the more engaged members of the chat. So, you know, don't want to.
Riley's the guy.
You're awesome, Riley. It's okay.
But we may chase him away with
We
my
love
final pick, you guys, because this is a timeless villain.
Oh,
One that
Please
will
do not say
live.
Pepsi Man. Please
That
do not
will live in infamy of all time because it's, you know, clearly one of the biggest villains of all time. It's the giant Pepsi can from Pepsi Man.
oh God.
You know, look at. I mean, it's blue. It says Pepsi on the side of it. It's got nutritional facts on it. I mean, how many other villains have we talked about tonight that
Matt,
have
I thought we were
nutritional
gonna make it
facts
through this
on
without
the
Pepsi
side of
Man
them?
making an appearance.
It just chases you down the street. You have to avoid obstacles, and it's just like, come on, man. Just how could you deal with such an amazing villain like the Pepsi can from Pepsi Man? It's just, you know, it's too much. Like none of these other choices really compare to the awe and beauty of the giant can of Pepsi from Pepsi Man. So, of course, shout out to Pepsi Man.
PSD fam, I am sorry. I apologize.
I don't know. Rybo says I win, so I mean, you know.
Rybo, do not do this, running mate. Do not do
Does
this.
this not look like the can of evil?
That, I mean, it kind of does actually. If you just take that, but then make it like 1,000,000 times larger for you.
Exactly.
And it's the can of evil. But oh my God. Keeper's ready to throw a can of Pepsi at me. Riley King, of course, asked the question to the panel: Coke or Pepsi? I mean,
Coke.
come on, Pepsi, of course, because Pepsi Man exists.
Pepsi.
That's what I'm talking about, little brother.
Coke. No.
Pepsi.
We all know Coke tastes better, but for the sake of this panel, Pepsi.
See,
But actually,
I would tend to agree. Coke's not always the greatest. The only Coke I will drink is Coke Vanilla. That's the only Coke that I will drink, but most of the time I'm Pepsi.
I will also mention, though, Fulia, that since we don't live in the United States, the formula for Coke, the makeup for it, is very different in other countries. So if you actually drink Coke in America, or even go Coke at McDonald's specifically, because they have like a specially engineered version of Coke for McDonald's, they actually taste much different. So I'm interested. I would be interested when you come to America and we go to Outback Steakhouse together.
Oh my gosh.
You know, you need to, of course, true Australian cuisine. You'll have to try a Coke and tell us about
the McDonald's Coke and Sprite hits a lot different.
Yeah.
Okay. That's definitely a soft drink I'm gonna have to try when I come to America.
Because if Sean was here, he would tell us, because there's a reason why he specifically goes to McDonald's to get Diet Coke, because it is different from what comes in a can.
So, right. Yeah. I mean, the Coke here at our McDonald's is is okay, but I don't know. It might be different over in America. So
maybe, but actually, you know, being real serious, I'll just go through this quick. Dr. Nefarious from Ratchet and Clank is the other
Okay.
pick. Because he's so silly and stupid. He reminds me of Wile E. Coyote in all the best ways, where like, he comes out with all these stupid inventions and none of them work properly. And he's just like, all right, this time I'm going to get Ratchet and Clank. And he just
nothing goes to plan.
He just falls on his face every time. But he's also just such a funny character too. I love Dr. Nefarious. So. And again, like shout out to the voice actor who does Dr. Nefarious because he's been in every Ratchet and Clank game since the PlayStation 2 game. So shout out to Dr. Nefarious. I love him. He's great. Cool. But let's go to the carpool because we got a bunch of people who chimed in on this topic. So we're going to start with Toxic, who says, how do you feel about siblings as villains in games? For example, in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, this is a spoiler for Assassin's Creed Odyssey, by the way, just so y'all know. You have either Alexius or Cassandra as the villain, depending on who you choose at the start. So at the start of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you choose either Alexios or Cassandra, and you play as the protagonist with whichever one you pick, and then whoever you don't pick is the villain of that game.
Yeah, Cassandra's the only right choice.
Of course it is. We all know that's wrong. But I like this idea. I thought it was a cool curveball when I played Assassin's Creed Odyssey for the first time, but I also haven't really seen other games do this that often. I don't. At the same time, one of my problems with Star Wars is that they like to force the relationship thing because after the big twist from Empire Strikes Back, they have just tried nonstop to do that ever since, and it's always kind of been bad. So I don't love the idea of forcing an the villain's actually been your brother or your secret father or something the whole time, and it's just like, cool, man. I'm kind of over that. But what do you guys think?
I'm with you on that. I don't know, man. Odyssey, I think is like the only game I played that I think that has happened to, as far as like them being adversaries in the game. Of course, we've had siblings in other games like played as together, but yeah, I think Odyssey is the only one I can think of off the top of my head that was like that.
Yeah. I think, again, they did something really unique with that game. And I think that just most people, I haven't really seen another game that's really done that. And I think I wondered if they were going to do that with Shadows, with the two characters that you select. But that actually sounds like it's going to be more like Assassin's Creed Syndicate, where you'll play as them at different points in the story, and you can just choose to play one or the other. But yeah, we'll see. I actually would have loved if they did that with Valhalla, though, where if you picked like the male Ivor actually ended up being one of the villains.
I thought they were going to go that direction when I first played it, but unfortunately they didn't go that route. Yeah. No.
All right. Next up, we got Cwagmire, who says, "I thought Voss from Far Cry 3 was amazing." So shout out to Ron there for also picking
nice
Voss.
Quag.
It's a shame that he didn't get more screen time, but of course, I'll come in with Malos and Jin from Xenoblade Chronicles 2, because of course this is Cwagmire. The game can get you to occasionally side with the villain through layers of gray rather than just good, bad, black, or white mentality. It's far more interesting. Can't say much without spoilers. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a common theme with the villains we picked tonight too, where none of them were like really like evil per se. Like they're not. Besides Dr. Nefarious, I guess, who's like mostly just always evil, but.
He is, or he tries to be.
But again, I enjoy him because he's funny, not because he's like the most evil bad guy ever in Ratchet and Clank. So, and sometimes you get to play as Dr. Nefarious in some of the games too. So,
well, Quag is a little bit wrong. You can't put interesting and Xenoblade in the same sentence, but that's fine.
Ron's got a good point there.
Wrong. That is incorrect. And I'm wearing my Xenobabe shirt today. So good answer, Cwagmire. Good answer. It just worked out.
Hold on, Ron. Right. You're wearing a red shirt as well. Are you also wearing a Xenobabe shirt?
My thing is from the Source magazine, 5 mics. Okay. If you didn't read the magazine, it's a hip hop thing.
Okay.
Definitely not no Xenobabes. I don't do that here. No Xenobabes here.
Almost.
One day. What if we showed up to Extra Life, Matt, with a Xenobabe shirt and gave it to Ron? What if we did that? What if there was like a donation incentive where Ron would have to wear a Xenobabe shirt?
I will find somebody with a lighter and I will light that thing on fire. Live on screen.
Oh, stop it.
Ideas
Straight to the extreme.
It's for the kids. It's for the kids. For $2, I will light this on fire.
Or
wear it for the kids.
For $100, Ron will wear it for the entire 24 hours.
Exactly.
The kids would have to be mad at me on that one, I think.
Yeah.
Hey, still for the kids.
Anyways, moving on. We got Ryu, who says, trying to remember villains is pretty hard since a lot of them are pretty forgettable. I think a few I can think of offhand are Ming and Gal from Xenogears. Can't really go into a little bit more without spoiling the game. Xenogears is a great game, by the way. Not Xenoblade, but Xenogears.
The first half of Xenogears is fantastic.
Yeah. Osborne from the Trails series is a great villain as well. I don't know how they'll be able to make a villain better than him as the series goes on. His political influence in the world is what makes him scary for the majority of the games in the series. Of course, shout out to Ron for being Mr. Falcom over there.
Yeah, Chris is a Falcom guy, so he has a good point. Osborne is a fantastic villain. Yeah, he's right on that one. Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
It's a good pick so far. And then finally, the Shadow Lord from Nier. Again, I can't really go into details without massive spoilers, which is the similar problem Matt had. Question in regards to villains, though. Does empathizing with the villain make them better to you, or is it better to just hate them without second thoughts? I think we all agree, as we talked about it. I think empathizing them, helps a little bit.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah. Because if you just hate them the whole time, they're just gonna I think that's when they fall into the forgettable kind of character.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you can't have villains that you can't hate because they just do their job so well. But I'm with you. I prefer the ones where you can relate to them a little bit. Empathetic is better. Yeah.
Nice. Next up, we got Solo, who says, "Who is the villain in your gaming history reaching into my RPG lifestyle in which you felt you had to fight one or more times in a game?" You would literally quit this game. I don't even know where this question's going. I don't know about y'all.
Yeah, I saw that one earlier, and I was trying to figure that one out, but I don't know, because I haven't ran into any villains that really continuously pop up in the game for me. At least not that I can remember.
The way I took it was like, for me, the answer I came up with was the final villain in Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I love that game, but there's a lot of many forms in that final boss fight. And I'm like, if you do one more final form, I'm going to smash the controller if you do this one more time. Because I was already playing on story mode, and it was like almost more than an hour. Like, one more form, one more form.
Did Sean talk about that too? I think somebody talked about that.
And Seth.
I was like, good grief.
And Seth.
Okay.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if
like,
we're going...
just one more.
If we are going in that sort of mentality with the question, I think the final boss with Ultima in Final Fantasy 16, that took forever.
I knew you were going to say that because I felt the same way.
Oh my gosh. That's so I couldn't. And I was playing I don't think I was playing it on the easiest mode. I think it was like the one up from that. And even that just took such a long time to get through. It was at least an hour, I would say, maybe a little more. And I was dying so much that I had a hard time trying to get through that. But I'm glad that I managed to get through it. So, but it was it's such a long final boss battle.
If we're going to take that route, then pretty much every Japanese RPG from the Super Nintendo to PlayStation 2 is going to...
One more
form. Final bosses would have like 9 forms. So especially the Square Enix. They would just be like, oh, he's not dead just yet. Oh, here we go again. No.
So, I know this is a PlayStation podcast, but my answer is definitely the boss from Halo 5, Guardians. Because you fight, there's only one boss in that entire game, but you literally fight him at multiple points in the story, and he's just uninteresting and very forgettable. And he's the only boss you fight, and he's got 8 billion final forms, but you just fight him at different points in the story. Like every second level, you basically fight him, but in a different form. And I'm just like, get me out of here. I did not like that. I know Sean's a big stand for Halo 5, but that was one of the things I did not like about it.
I don't think I would have liked that one.
The boss. Thank you, Riley. Riley, we don't talk about Halo 5. Yeah. I did actually, like, back in the day when Halo 5 came out, we of course at my old outlet Game Moose actually had the opportunity to review it for Xbox, and we did like a big spoiler cast about it. And I remember my co-host Drew and I just sat down and we had things to say about that boss. It was not good. So yeah, that's what spoiler cast is definitely out there, still in the ether somewhere too. So that's something. All right, and then last question before we actually get to normal questions comes to us from Kiku, who says, Lusa Blight from Suikoden 2 is my favorite villain, though I won't say why because of spoilers. Still holding out hope that the Suikoden remaster actually comes out this year.
Yeah, Luca was a madman, so yeah.
Okay. I haven't played it yet, so I'm interested to find out.
Yeah, Luku was wild.
For my question, though, has there ever been a game where you didn't really care about beating the villain? That's a lot of games where the villain is just like, again, if it's a villain that's not interesting or forgettable, like the villain in Far Cry 3, the actual villain in Far Cry 3, I'm like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Same. I'm trying to think. There's like a few Nintendo games like Yoshi's Crafted World, the Kirby game, like great games, but the villains, I'm like, I don't remember their names. Like I don't really care. It's not a big deal. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. Like if that's not what the game is about. But no, there's quite a few where it's like I'm enjoying the game. I don't really not invested in the story or what the villain is. So it's not.
Every villain can't be great, but at least be serviceable. Everybody's not serviceable either. I mean, some of them are just forgettable. Like, okay, we got to put a bad guy here. Just put him there, and they're just super generic, and they're just like there just to get to the end story. Those villains suck.
Now, I almost doled over laughing reading Rybo's question here. Do you care about beating the Pepsi can, Ryan? The answer is, of course I do, because of course that would be a triumph. Rybo is beating the Pepsi can from Pepsi Man.
Lord.
Of course,
it would be.
One of the greatest villains of all time.
Stop this.
Look, Rybo asked the question, man. It wasn't even me this time. I was only engaging with our audience, Ron. That's all.
It's okay. Rybo's my guy. Oh my God.
Running mate.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah. By the way, Rybo and other people of the community got to see the full power of Pepsi Man on display when we watched Pepsi Man commercials together the other day before the state of play. So
I arrived late. Thank God.
Riley asked the question, who's the villains in Friends, the one with all the trivia? The answer is I don't know. Someone. Emily, I guess. Emily, Ross's old girlfriend, is the villain of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
The fiance.
That
The fiance.
Yeah, that works.
Anyways, moving on. We now have our normal questions that have nothing to do with villains. We're going to start with Awesome Dave 1337, who asks, not related to the question or topic, but with today being the first day of Pride Month, what are your favorite queer icons from gaming? Also, the best villain is Ultimacia from Final Fantasy VIII. So,
of course.
Fulia, I saw you pretty excited about this question. Let's go to you first.
Was I? Okay.
I don't know. You were doing this.
You were excited about it.
Yeah.
No, I'm excited about the fact that it's Pride Month.
I know. Same here.
Yeah, well, hey, it's fine.
That's okay.
Same energy.
That's what I mean.
Alex from Life is Strange is great. They go either way, and they're just very relatable. You've got a lot because she's got the power of empathy, and you really kind of struck a chord with her, and it's she's just an amazing character. I really enjoy playing as Alex from Life is Strange: True Colors. So yeah, that's my answer.
That's a great one. That was honestly one of the ones that came to mind when talking about this question. Other one I'm going to just shout out there, Commander Shepard from Mass Effect. Whether you're playing as male Shepard or female Shepard, it doesn't matter because he or she or they are very much a queer icon, regardless of how you look at it. And in fact, I actually think when you look at all the relationships overall in Mass Effect, honestly, the queer relationships are the best ones. Whether you are, femme shep, with the female characters, or male shep with the male characters. I love that aspect, and I've always loved that BioWare has kind of been front and center with that type of thing with their games. They've always given you options to explore that space as well. But also a special shout out to my Sims 4 character, of course, my Sims 4 character, the vampire / werewolf / immortal being that's just infinitely rich, just is a queer icon. Because they very much are very much don't care about genders at that point, and just whatever, as long as they're in love, who cares? That's the way I look at it.
Mm-hmm. I got to give a shout out to Ellie, The Last of Us Part 1, Part 2. Ellie's a bit of a jerk to her partner in Part 2, not gonna lie, but outside of that, she still is an icon, and she was going through some pretty tough times in Part 2, so it kind of explains why she was really very mean to Dina, but. Otherwise, no, she's a fantastic icon. And then I'm not 100% because it's been a while, but I'm pretty sure in Boyfriend Dungeon, protagonist, because you get to date whomever you want and date as many people as you want. So you can kind of go whichever direction you want. So that was a fantastic experience. Excellent dating game for sure. So Protagonist in Boyfriend Dungeon as well.
All right.
Nice. Also, a couple suggestions from the chat. We got Vivian from Paper Mario says Riley.
Nice, Riley. Nice pick.
And then BA Max says Chihiro from Danganronpa. That's a good pick, too.
Brittany's going to do all she can to sit there and put Danganronpa out there because she
Look,
loves the series.
Danganronpa's really good, Ron, okay?
I'm not dissing it. It's not for me, but I didn't say it was cheap.
I mean, it's got too much reading for you, maybe, but I mean, it's still really good.
No, I love reading. This is somebody else, though.
Oh, shut up.
My pick is going to be Chante from Ys 9. They never confirm, but it's very heavily implied. And Chante is just great from the first time they introduce, and even more so once they sit there and get the backstory out there for him. Fantastic character. Yeah, Ys 9, Chante. Everybody who's played it knows what the deal is. Fantastic.
Nice. All right, next up we got Hoppel, who says, when you have decided to go for the Platinum Trophy, do you read all of the descriptions for the trophies and maybe spoiler yourself, or do you finish the game and then go back? So, I mean, for example, Matt, since you're playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, did you go and read all of the trophies, or did you just go to the guide and see what you need to do?
Yeah, Ron and I were talking about this, and we're actually quite the opposite. Yeah, it's funny
so
this came
ironic.
up. Yeah, so I am all about reading the trophies and following the trophy guide, just because it frustrates me if I'm not efficient when I'm going for the platinum. But you know, I was talking to Ron about it. But even though the guides I read, they do a pretty good job at not spoiling the major story plots, you're still spoiling the game because it's telling you like, well, you're gonna fight this boss or you have to get these collectibles. So it is not the full experience where like you're getting immersed and seeing everything for the first time, because I'm reading ahead so that I know what needs to be done in an efficient way. There's only like maybe like one or two. I think it's like The Last of Us Part 2 and the Replicant, where I said I'm gonna play one playthrough. Doesn't matter. I'm not gonna look at the trophy guide, and then after I'll come back and do it properly. Otherwise, almost every other game that I really like that I want the platinum, I'm reading the guide all the way. Just because, yeah, it really irks me. It's like, because there's certain trophies where it's like, oh, you needed to do this combat thing, and this is the perfect time with this boss. You know, sometimes you can't do chapter select. So, unfortunately, for the most of the time, I do read the trophies ahead of time, just because I want to know the fastest way to get it. That's my style, though.
Okay, nice. Yeah, for me, like I'll look at, if I have an inkling that I'll go for the Platinum Trophy, I will usually look at the guide, but intentionally avoid looking at the trophy names for the story segments, because there are ways on like Power Picks or some of the other sites to go to specific trophies that you're looking for, or if you just read the guide, usually they don't usually go into spoilers. So at least in most cases, so that's usually what I like to do. But Ron, what about you, Ben?
I'll look at the trophy list. I don't bring up the hidden ones. If it's hidden, it stays that way. I'll look through the ones that are readily available. I'll look to see. I'm like, okay, I think I might be able to platinum this. The only time I'll use a guide is if I'll look like on PlayStation trophies where they'll have like a slot for the missable trophies. I'll look there just to make sure I'm not going to lock myself out of anything. But aside from that, if it doesn't have any missable trophies and it's easy to go back to with chapter select, or if it's open world, I don't bother with it. I go ahead and just play the game because I don't really want to spoil anything for myself or ruin the experience. So I'll go ahead and just kind of go in blind, except for the missable trophy thing. That's it.
Okay. Fulia, you are the platinum queen, of course. How like obviously, I think the most of the games you kind of play, though, for the most part, the ones you have platinums for are just pretty self-sufficient. You're not really going to guides anyways for a lot of them, right?
99% of the time, I generally play through the game without looking at anything. I'll just play through it blind, and then whatever trophies pop, they pop. If I feel like it's easy enough that I can go back and find the rest of the collectibles, or try to find the rest of the trophies, then I might use a guide that way. Generally, what I'll do first, though, is I'll look at the trophy lists on my PlayStation to see what I've missed once I finish the game, and then it'll obviously it'll describe what it is that you need for those trophies. So in that instance, at least I'm not spoiled. But there are also ones that are still hidden away, so I can't really unlock those unless I look at a guide that tells me the name of it. So in that but most of the time, I'm generally going through it first without looking at anything, and then if I want to do a cleanup of trophies, then I'll go back and look at a guide.
Yeah. Yeah, Spiritfarer, I guess, is like one of the only games I think you've ever talked about on the show where you really needed a guide to even look at it all, right? So
yeah.
All right, moving on. Somehow Quaggy got in here with a second question. I don't know how this happened.
Well, no, it wasn't. The first thing was a statement, not a question.
Whatever. Anyways, going back to Quaggy. I've seen a lot of comparisons of Astrobot and Mario Odyssey. While I know Astrobot isn't playable yet, like Odyssey, which game looks better to you from what we've seen, and why is it Mario Odyssey? Quaggy, I hate to disappoint you. I don't like Mario Odyssey. I hate that game. There are certain levels and parts of Mario Odyssey that I like, but there's something specific about 3D Mario that I've just never really been into. Going all the way back to Mario 64, the only 3D Mario game I've really been into is besides Mario 3D World, but that's a different type of game. I mean, when we're talking about games of this particular style, Mario Galaxy is really the only one I've really been into. So Mario Odyssey, I just wasn't really into. Whereas I really liked Astro on PS5 so far, and I'm really excited for this one because I like the way Astro plays, and I love all the Sony references. And I don't know, man. Maybe it's just nostalgia talking, but I love all the nostalgia stuff too that comes with him as well. And some of that stuff is actually more nostalgic to me than Mario is. So for me personally, Astrobot all the way. Not Astro Boy, the old anime.
Astro Boy.
Astrobot.
I'm the same as Ryan. I'm the exact same as Ryan. Like, I don't know what it is about 3D Mario games, and I played them all, 64, Sunshine, the exact same way. It's something about them. I play them, but I don't love them. Same like Ryan. The only ones I actually kind of enjoyed a bit more was the Galaxy ones. I don't know if it's just the way the level designs was kind of broken up into smaller chunks that made it more enjoyable, but same way. Like, I'm way more hyped for Astrobot. Same thing. Like, I think they did a phenomenal job at highlighting what the DualSense can do. It's kind of irks me that other games don't utilize it as effectively as Astrobot does. But yeah, just it's just a love letter to PlayStation history, which is it's 2024. Like, there's quite a vast history of it. So I love seeing that stuff. It just gets you all the nostalgia feel. So if Astrobot does that and continues to really effectively use the DualSense, like, it's gonna be great, 100%. Sorry, Nintendo.
I was gonna say sorry, Riley. I know we're disappointing you a little bit, but that's just how we feel. What about Ron and Fulia? What do you guys think?
I mean, I don't know, man. To me, it's an unfair comparison. I mean,
well, it's true too.
Yeah, Mario, he built the foundation that the house of Nintendo sits on. So of course, people are gonna lean more toward that. As far as 3D Mario goes, I thought Mario 64 was outstanding, but Sunshine was just good. I don't remember anything about Galaxy, to tell you the truth, because I think that's when I started leaning out of it. And but I thought Astrobot was a great game. I mean, it didn't do what Mario 64 did for me, but that's because 3D was kind of a new thing then. So of course Mario 64 is going to have more weight to it. But as far as it's like what Ryan was talking about with all the features, the nostalgia, and if we're going to go off the state of play stuff, man, I mean, everything I saw in the state of play looked outstanding to me. It looked great. That talked to me more than any Mario title has done in many, many moons. So I'll side with Astrobot on this one for just now, the modern times.
Yeah. Fulia?
Okay.
Oh.
So I don't know where to go with this. I'm a little undecided because I've played a lot of different 3D Mario games. I've played Mario Odyssey. It was good fun. I actually really enjoy playing through that. And it was one of those games that I was actually quite surprised with when I was playing through Mario Odyssey. I will say, though, that the Astrobot game, Astro's Playroom, may just creep on top of Mario Odyssey for me. just because of how playful and fun it is, and the fact that it utilizes the controller so well and showcases what that DualSense controller can do, whereas Mario Odyssey doesn't really do that. So I think that's why Astro Boy's Playroom impressed me a lot more in that sense. And the fact that you're inside your PS5, going through all the different areas of the PS5 in terms of its hardware and its software, and it was actually quite cute and fun. So I feel like, I think the Astrobot game that's coming, I feel like I'm gonna love it even more. So for me, Astrobot's just that little bit more better for me. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, you can definitely tell we're PlayStation people. That plays into it a little bit too. Like don't get me wrong. I mean, I grew up with Nintendo stuff, but it's just like, I don't know. It's something about Mario where like, I've always preferred Mario in 2D versus 3D. Like that's just always been the way I've enjoyed Mario the most. And I think that's just because when I first started playing Mario is 2D games. And that's really where I fell in love with Mario as a character. So I think like that's more the reason why I feel this way. But I can definitely understand. Like, again, we haven't played the game yet, so who knows? Maybe it's not actually as good as we're hoping it is. But I remain optimistic that Astrobot's going to be really good. And we've only got a couple of months to wait, which is perfect. So can't wait. All right, next up we got Drellish, who's got a couple questions specifically for Matt and I. But if y'all have opinions on these, feel free to chime in. I think they're Resident Evil questions, so I think that plays into this. First question, I am playing Resident Evil 4 Remastered with my daughter on the PlayStation 5. I'm blown away by how much I'm enjoying it, though it was the pestering of my daughter that finally caused me to buy it. As someone who has only played the first Resident Evil on the original PlayStation, considering that my daughter is really enjoying it, yes, the in-game neck-stabbing stealth mode can be a bit much for a 14-year-old, which should be our next co-op Resident Evil game. So, Matt, I have a direction on this that you might not love, but I'm gonna say it anyways. Resident Evil 5 should be the next one that they play together, because number one,
agreed.
You're playing Resident Evil 4 now, and it's the next one in the series. But that game, the main reason why people didn't love it initially was because it was built for co-op, and people didn't want to play co-op Resident Evil at the time. But if you, Drellish, and your daughter are wanting to play co-op Resident Evil, it's the best one out there for that. So I actually think it's great, even though the story can get really silly and dumb, and there are problematic elements with where they go with certain places in the game or certain enemies you fight. I still think it's actually a good game overall and a good co-op game.
100% agree, Ryan. Like, is it the spookiest of Resident Evil games? The answer is no. But if you're looking for a co-op game, it's one of my personal favorites of all time. Like, I got the platinum without even knowing it, just because of how many times I played it co-op with my best friend over and over and over and over again. Just got the platinum, didn't even realize it, because it is really a lot of fun. I can't remember, Ryan, but like, I think when you aim, you can't move, right? I don't remember. I think it's one of those where you can't strafe when you're aiming, so that's a bit
Yes, I think Resident Evil 6 was the first one where you can move and shoot.
Yeah, so it's a bit wonky in that sense, but it's a really solid co-op game where like you have to rely on each other, give each other ammo, heal each other, get each other's backs, and like Ryan said, like there's a lot of foolishness that happens in this game. Like, spoiler alert, like one of the villains in the game is a boulder, and you have to punch it. All right, not even exaggerating. Oh yeah,
punching the boulder.
It's good ham and cheese. Like, it's fantastic. I would highly recommend Resident Evil 5 for co-op. It's so good. So much fun.
I mean, that boulder was almost as threatening as the can of Pepsi from Pepsi Man. So, it's a tough villain. It's a tough villain to fight against, But yeah, Resident Evil 5, I think, is probably your top pick, especially for co-op specifically. Again, it gets a lot of heat for the single player aspect because the computer controlled character is not very smart.
Oh god.
And will use your healing items and stuff like that, and you will be very sad when you are out of materials because your AI partner used them all.
Yes, full health, and she's spraying you with the first aid spray. I'm like, good god, I need this for the boss. What are you doing? Stop this madness. Yeah. Or it's a boss fight, and she's using the knife. I'm like, knife for Wesker? No.
It eventually got to the point where I was just like, I'm not giving her health items at all. I'm keeping them all on me. Because like
That's the smart thing. Yeah.
It's
Don't
fine.
give her
Maybe
anything.
you just want to sit there and get a little up close and personal with the knife. There's nothing wrong with that. Get gritty. Get some blood on you. It's
Oh
fine.
god.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rival brings up a great point in the chat. It's a real shame that Pepsi Man doesn't have co-op. 100% agree, Rival.
Is it?
yeah.
Is it
It'd
a
be
shame?
fun to
Is
play
it really?
together.
Running mate, stop this.
We could have had Pepsi Man and Pepsi Ma'am. It would have been great.
God.
Yes,
Did
right.
we just go there?
Anyways, second question from Drellish. Also, as I might only have limited time playing PlayStation games with my daughter, 6 to 7 years old, before she leaves the house, I am all for couch co-op games. We already played It Takes Two and No Way Out. I'm excited for Path of Exile 2 purely because of the couch co-op means that we can spend time playing together. What are some other couch co-op games that you would recommend for a father and daughter? She desperately wants to play Nier Replicant, but it doesn't have couch co-op. But she also loves Nier Automata to bits. Does anything come to mind? She loves first-person shooters. Ultimately, I don't, but I want to find something we can make a ritual. Spending time together, impulses and thoughts are welcome. I mean, this is an interesting question. First of all, Path of Exile is an interesting one because when I think about Diablo 4, I almost feel like it's a missed opportunity that doesn't have couch co-op. But, I mean, Josh, if you haven't played Diablo 3 yet, I think it's a great game for couch co-op if you've got some friends there. Also, Dragon's Crown from Vanillaware. That's one that I loved for couch co-op. I think it's a fantastic game. And then the other one I will throw out there is one that I'm blanking on now that I got to the edge of the diving board. I lost it, folks. So I'll go to you, Matt, and anyone else who wants to chime in on this while I think about it.
You know my answer, Drellish. Just play a Nier Replicant and just do some backseat gaming. You don't need couch co-op, all right? Just one person has a controller, one person is in the back enjoying the story. Look, if you really want a father-daughter experience, you could technically even go further back and get the OG Nier, because in that one, it's Papa Nier with the daughter, so maybe more relatable story in that sense, but
She can play the
pretty
game
sure
while
Replicant's
Get
still better.
some snooze in.
No.
But she likes
snoozing.
Nier Automata. You
Not
have
with
to
your guitar.
understand, Ron. This appeals to her senses. That's all.
I'm talking about Drellish.
Exactly,
Drellish can get some sleep
exactly.
on.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough.
No.
I wasn't talking about her. I was
So
talking
just-
about Drellish.
Yeah.
Nier Replicant, backseat gaming. That's my answer. Do it.
Okay.
I can't participate in this question because I don't really play the games that they play.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't really play a lot of couch co-op games either, but I have played a couple. So, yeah. Also, one that was really fun to play together that doesn't have couch co-op in it, but it's really fun. But it might be too mature for your daughter. Is Catherine? That was a game I really enjoyed playing with another person because it's all about relationships and also solving puzzles. And it's a really fun game, but I think it might be a little mature for her. When she gets older, I think that's a game maybe you play together. But yeah. Also, Baldur's Gate 3. But I know Josh has already played that game. But that's a great game for couch co-op too. Just throwing it out there.
He has played
They
that
could
game.
pass around the
He enjoys
controller
it quite a bit.
until dawn, or that other
that's a good
horror
one.
game that they
Yeah.
God, what was
Nice.
that one?
The Dark Pictures anthology games.
Yeah.
the
And
Quarry.
there was another one too that they did.
The Quarry. The one for
Yep.
werewolves.
Yep. They could play those.
Yeah. That's a good one too. Yeah, if you like horror games, I think they're great too. So All right. Final set of questions for the show today come to us from Black Wyver, who says, "Good day, Fab4. Hope you all are doing well. Here are a few questions for you. Number 1, is there a game you could think of that you never got the hype for pre-release, whereas everyone else around you did? Like some of the individuals are not keen on Astrobot. What are your thoughts on that game after release date?" So the one that comes to mind, honestly, we talked about it earlier, is Mario Odyssey. I mean, everyone loved that game, whereas I just was not into it at all. So that's got to be my pick for this one. But what do y'all think?
I'm gonna go with
for
Hades
me.
2. Oh, go for it, Ron.
Deathloop. I never got it. I'm an Arcane guy, and from the very first trailer to all the way up to release and afterwards, when I was seeing all the 10s and 9s given out, and I was just like, I'm not getting it. I was just like, this is the game that they didn't want to push, because to me, Dishonored 2 and pretty much all the other Arcanes were better than that. So definitely Deathloop. That's a definite answer for me.
Not only is Riley King on your side, but I am also on your side with that one too, Ron. I
Yeah.
was not into that one. Josh asked a clarifying question because we were talking about his question earlier. Until Dawn's not too violent for her? I think it might be.
Yeah. I forgot.
I mean, it's a horror
part.
game,
true.
right? So yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna be gory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fulia, what about you? Is there a game that it was so hyped up, but you're just like, what is everyone talking about?
Not really.
Okay.
My usual hype is usually in check for a lot of games. I mean, it really depends on the game as well. And yeah, I tend not to get too overhyped about a game and then find myself, not liking it or whatever. But yes, Ron.
I think you're forgetting about the fact that you did not enjoy God of War 2018, and you said it was cheeks.
Wait, no. Hold on.
Whoa.
I never said it was
Whoa.
cheeks. I never said it was cheeks.
I was going to say,
She
that's
abandoned-
Ron putting the
she
words in her
abandoned
mouth
it
on
and
that
dropped
one.
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
She says
No,
cheeks,
no.
guys.
No, it's on the shelf. It's on the shelf.
She's never going back to it.
It's been shelved.
It's been shelved.
Yeah.
You know what else has an S word? I'm not going to say it on the air.
Wow.
That's what she thinks about.
Jesus.
No.
I'm just going to leave this up here.
Calm your farm. Calm your farm, Ron. Okay. So, with God of War 2018, I wasn't around when that was released, like in terms of the ecosystem, because I never had a PS4. So I didn't know what the hype was for that until I came into the gaming sphere, until I had my own PlayStation. I got a PlayStation, and that's right.
When did this become a thing?
Continue, Fulia, please. Tell us about it.
Yeah, and so when I've started playing God of War 2018 well after Ragnarok has come out. And I don't know, there was so much talk about how good the story is and how amazing, the world was and the gameplay and all that sort of stuff. But when I was playing through it, I didn't feel the same. I didn't feel the same about it all when I was playing through it. Like, it looks amazing, and like I understand where everybody was going in terms of its story and its gameplay and stuff. I think I may have been a little bit, maybe a few years too late into playing the game to not really kind of getting into, and it's also not really my style of gaming in the first place. So I think that's probably another reason why I think I was not as like hyped about it as what everyone else has been. So yeah, that's just
It's
how
all
I
right.
feel though.
It's all right. It's like that sometimes. Everybody's crazy about Xenoblade and CPG, and I think it's cheeks. So it's all right.
Stop
Exactly.
it. No.
Anyways, moving on. Next question from Black Wyver is, leaving Astrobot aside, what games are y'all keen on from the state of play? I don't think we're going to go into that here, only because Ron, Matt, and I did an entire show about that. And then Fulia, we know, is mostly just all in on Astrobot.
Astrobot, that's it.
I will say, Black Wyver, go back and listen to the previous show that we did earlier this week, the state of play reactions we did, because we did a big talk about that. Because there were other games that we were into, but we just don't have time right now to go through them. And last question, lastly, what is the story / background of your Discord handles / gamer tags? I hope you all have a lovely weekend. Well, as you can see, there's a big story behind my Discord tag / gamer handle. See, it's my name, Ryan Turford, and I didn't really think of it myself. My parents came up with that one.
Yeah.
I don't know why they came up with the name Ryan. There must be a story behind that. I don't know. My mom didn't really talk about that. But that's how I got my gamer tag. It was a gift from my mom, I guess, when I was born. So there you go. I will also mention, though, my PlayStation handle specifically, though, is what my old handle used to be back in 2001, when I used to go on the internet and play competitive video games, because that was a whole phase that I did. And it, of course, is Fresh Obsessed, because it's based off the food store A&P, which used to be a grocery store here in Canada, like 30 years ago. And their motto was, "We're Fresh Obsessed." And for whatever reason, high school Ryan was just so into that motto for whatever reason. And I couldn't think of a good handle for anything. So that became my motto. And I've wanted to change it on PSN for years. But if I change my handle, it breaks my PS3 purchases. I've already tried it once, and I'm not doing it again. So it will always stay as Fresh Obsessed forever, despite the fact that I hate that name.
It's a nice name. Nice.
There you go.
It's cool.
No,
I
but
like
it sounds wrong. It sounds really wrong when you
Fresh
think about
obsessed.
it. So I'm just like, I don't want it anymore. It's not as bad as Sean's PSN name, or old PSN name, but it's bad. It's bad.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
All right, Ron. Where does Savoy Prime come from? Please tell us.
Back on the old GameSpot days when the site was like awesome. Metroid Prime had just came out, and the symbol for Metroid Prime was great, and the S symbol was right there in my face, and I was just like, I'm going to sit there and use that and just call myself Savoy Prime, and it's been that way ever since. Everywhere I go on social media or any gaming sites, it's always been Savoy Prime, Xbox, PSN. It's just great, and Metroid Prime's a great game. So
Nice. Bradley's just killing me. So fresh and so clean. Friggin' outcast. Oh my god. All right, Matt, the Shadow Lord. Tell us about your handle, the Shadow Lord, which is obviously not what it is.
No, Nagachaka comes from my high school days. Somebody turned my last name into a song, and he just kept singing it over and over again. And I was like, it's kind of weird, but whatever. And then when I did think of an email address, I was like, well, what do I think of? So at that time, it was either Nagachaka or I think I was obsessed with like WWF stuff, so I was gonna pick like, I don't know, The Rock Jabroni or something foolish like that. And I was like, that's just too long. Yeah, that's just too long. I can't.
Nagachaka sounds better.
Yeah.
I agree. So that's where it came from, and then I've just been using it for like 25 plus years now. So
Nice.
that's it. Nice. That's it.
Also, shout out to Yon32 who says, in honor of Amanda, Savoy Roy Amazon Prime.
That will not be acknowledged.
32 chimes in again. Do you know it? Do you smell
The squirrel's cooking.
what the squirrel's cooking? Oh man.
Oh
Big
man.
time,
my gosh.
jabroni. Oh my god.
Jabroni Blade.
That kind of chimes in. Would have been Jabroni Blade.
I love wrestling, man, but I never
Possibilities.
thought of ever doing a wrestling name for my tag. That is wild.
Yeah.
Never? You're into wrestling too? I don't know.
Yeah, I
Just
love
came up
wrestling. I love wrestling, but I never thought about doing that. That's great.
Good God. Fuya, of course. Fuya, the drop bear. Where did you come up with your name?
So Foolish Fuji is actually two of my nicknames from that people have been calling me since I was in high school. So Foolish, sort of like Foolish is what my parents sort of call me. It's whenever they're trying to like cheer me up or trying to butter me up in some way to ask me to do something, they'll be like Foolish.
Okay.
And Fuji was a nickname that I got through high school. Especially because a lot of people were like, I think I loved taking photos at the time as well. So Fuji cameras were also a thing back then. And, the commercial for the Fuji cameras, say Fuji. So, and considering the fact that the first two letters of my actual name, Fulia, is also the same first two letters of like Fuji. So I sort of decided when I decided to come up with my own sort of gamer tag, I was like, you know what? Foolish Fuji together kind of sounds cool and fun. So I was like, yeah, let's chuck those together. That'd be cool. So that's kind of where that came from. But also Foolish being like, I got a lot of jokes from it in high school being, oh, you're so foolish. I'm like, oh, heard that one before.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what most people think of when they look at that word, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Or I'm foolish, like I'm kind of full, but not really, so foolish. I don't know.
Kind of fool, but not fool.
Foolish.
Fully cooly. Fully cooly.
Fully cooly? No, don't start that. No, don't start something new, Ron, please.
I mean,
I've got
it's
enough.
already
I
begun.
like it.
I've already put it out into the universe. Plus, Fully Cooley is a great anime. Come on.
I mean, BA Mac digs it, so.
Thank you.
Brittany also likes Danganronpa. Just want to put that out there.
But because Danganronpa's good, Ron. What are you talking about? I will not have Danganronpa slander on this podcast.
Wow, Ron.
Just calm your farm, okay, Ron?
I
Yes.
love Brittany. She knows I'm just messing
Hold on,
with
I
her.
have to update the banner. continue to talk while I update the banner.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's kind of where my gamer tag came from, and I like it, and I'm gonna keep it that way.
Excellent. Well, I think that's going to do it for this supersized episode of the PlayStation Drive. This was a huge episode. By the way, I said it before, but I'll say it again. First of all, huge thank you to not only everyone who wrote in questions and comments this week. We really appreciate you, and huge thank you to everyone who did that tonight. But also huge thank you to everyone who stuck around in the chat. I mean, we've had like a lot of great viewers throughout the show
really
tonight.
live
You all the MVPs.
Absolutely. So huge shout out
Thank you.
to the PlayStation Drive community, whether you're on in the Discord with us, whether you're here in the chat watching the live streams, or whether you're just listening to the show on audio feeds after it comes out with my random ad that I stick in the middle of the episode, which will happen at exactly 52 minutes exactly on the dot this week. I've already made a note of it. Please be excited. So shout out to everyone.
Yeah, we appreciate you all.
Yeah. But anyways, as we close the show, let's talk about all of our patrons over at patreon.com/carpoolgaming, starting with our ultimate producers, Jonathan Brown, the man behind the music on both this podcast and the Xbox Drive. You can check out all of his music over at Purple Monkey Entertainment, linktr.ee/PME/JIB. And Cwagmire, who humbly reminds you that the best babes are in fact Xenobabes. Links to all of our ultimate producers can always be found in the description of this podcast. Our platinum producers, Robby Bobby Miller, Tim Paullin, Smokin Joe, and now new platinum producer, Toxic. Shout out to Toxic as well as all of our other platinum producers.
Toxic.
And our gold members, Adam K, Anna, Awesome Dave Win 337, the Final Fantasy VIII Master, BobLoblaw, Brad Moore, Brian Reese, Cecily Carrozza, CowboyDangerD, CrocoKyle, Dan and Luma, Dannohh, Emily O'Kelly, Hoppel, Jan32, Patrice Mallette, Peje P, Samuel Nessling, Shane Erickson, Tech Mike, and Tim Aulph. Shout out once again to all of our patrons over at patreon.com/carpoolgaming. Once again, if you would like to head on over there and hear some awesome content, head on over there, choose the tier that's right for you. And now, Ron Plugs go.
Savoy Prime on PSN, Xbox, Steam, backlogged. Savoy_Prime on Twitter.
And don't forget the real podcast featuring Ron over there on Patreon.
God.
Yes.
Check it out, everybody.
Look, if you will,
So
if you
good.
will promote yourself, Ron, I'm going to. Okay,
Yes.
you're just gonna have to deal with this.
Yes.
Fine.
All right. And Matt, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me as Nagachaka in the Carpool Gaming Discord and on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Nagachaka12247.
Nice. And Fulia, where can people find you?
You can find me Foolish Fuji on X and Instagram and YouTube and Twitch and everything else you want to find the links for, including my podcast and everything else. Foolishfuji.card.co.
Cards.co.
Card with 2 R's.
Yar. As for me, you can find me on the old Twitter, aka X, at Ryan Turford. You also find us on X at Carpool Gaming, right here, youtube.com/Carpool Gaming. Of course, podcast services around the globe. So for Ron, Matt, and Fulia, I'm Ryan. This has been the PlayStation Drive, episode 152. Only 48 more episodes until episode 200, y'all. And we're out. Good night, everybody.
Adios, friends. Thanks for checking out this week's episode of the PlayStation Drive. Now, before you drive off, please make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and follow us at Carpool Gaming on socials. Don't forget to check out our awesome merch on carpoolgaming.com, and you can also support the show on Patreon at patreon.com/carpoolgaming, where you'll unlock all kinds of exclusive content. Links to everything are in the description.